DYSP of police in his absence because he is said to come here very little shortly. So I welcome him in his absence. Now I extend a hearty welcome Dr. S. Umarani, Professor, Department of Computers Application, SRM University, Ramapuram. Ma'am, you bring up with academic and research discipline. Welcome you, ma'am. Next, I welcome Dr. Adarsh K. Nair, Research Fellow, who will be taking the second session in online. I welcome in his absence. Next, I welcome with great respect Sub-Inspector Sri A. Pramod, Cyberdom Tirunduram, and Sub-Inspector Sri Sirajuddin A. Cyber Crime Police Station, Tirunduram City, who will be conducting the second section on workshop on malware analysis. Sir, welcome. Next, I cordially welcome Reverend Father Vincent Tarayil CMI, Director of Self-Financing, who have been very motivation to our departmental activities. Welcome you, Father. Next, I welcome Dr. T. Vivekanandan, Coordinator of Self-Financing, whose guidance and administrative support has shielded our department. Welcome you, sir. Next, I welcome my esteemed colleagues across all departments, my teachers, research scholars who are present here, and my students. Welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my privilege to invite our respected principal, Reverend Professor Jolly Andrew CMI, to deliver the presidential address.
Dr. S. Umarani, the professor from SRM University, Dr. T. Vivekanandan, Father Dr. Wilson Tarayan, the director, Dr. T. Vivekanandan, the coordinator, Priyanka Miss, who is the HOD of the department, other faculty members who come over here for attending this program and taking sessions. I am so happy that the Department of Computer Science, which is perhaps one of the largest department, growing department, of course that is a trend of today's world, is today organizing an international seminar on cyber security, things secure, stay connected, which is the need of the hour. I recall one small incident 2 years before. I got a phone call. A person introduced himself as some Bishop John, saying that he's calling from Delhi from CBC office. CBC is a bishop's body. And he said there's a prayer meeting, and the foreign manager also got something like that. And then immediately in the WhatsApp I saw a number. So immediately I got a suspicion that this may be something, a fraudulent activity. On the spot, I switched off the phone, or rather I cut the phone. I called the system administrator, Abhijit, and asked him. And he said there is not something, nothing to say with CBSE, something coming from somewhere else. And I just asked him, by this attending the call, or my phone is been hacked. He said, no problem, nothing has happened. So that is the way in which this cyber hacking is being happening these days. So we are not very vigilant. You will not know whether your phone has been hacked. Somebody will be seeing it, somebody will be observing it. And on the right moment, they will take advantage of it. So this is a need of the hour, and I am very happy that the Department of Computer Science is now having a joint venture with the academic experts and with the police personnel who are really into the field and those who are doing the research. So my congratulations to the Department of Computer Science. I know very soon this department would be doing wonders in the research also. Wish you all the best. Have a wonderful time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Father. We now come to the formal inauguration of CYBERSHIELD 2026. We are honored to have with us Dr. S. Umarani, Professor, PG Department of Computer Application, SRMIST, Ramapuram, Tamil Nadu. Ma'am, we kindly request you to inaugurate CyberShield 2026. Let us all welcome her with a warm round of applause.
Thank you so much. Respected Principal Sir, good morning. And respected Director Sir, respected Coordinator of Self-Financing Section, respected IQSC Coordinator, respected HR Coordinator, and respected HOD and Program Coordinator, faculty members, and my dear students. Good morning, everyone. This role suddenly happened, so that's why I am thinking about what supposed to do here. So as I told Principal Sir, whatever said is correct. So nowadays we have oftenly used and we have unconsciously used the mobile phone. So we are unaware of the link, whatever the link suddenly we have received. No, so sometimes we press the link, then whatever the data you have in your mobile phone or any gadgets, the data may be stolen from your machine. Okay. So that's why, so everyone has awareness about this, all those steps. So nowadays the education is focused on in two ways. One is value-based education, another one is skill-based education. Usually we have follow, so how to do. So we have some steps, some procedure, according to that we can add usually. But nowadays the education is focused on value education also. So value education means instead of how to do, you should learn about what to do. Okay, so whether if you are using the gadget, whether if you are using properly the gadget, whether you are utilizing the gadget in properly, and you must aware of all those steps. So if you want to go this direction, instead of how to do, if you are moving to what to do means definitely which will help you the technology. Cyber security is not a technology. Okay, so this is also in part of our life. Each and everyone has the responsibility for this. So it is not only based on the machine, it is also based on the human. So definitely you have much responsibility, so that's why we are talking now here. So this is the right time to explore the cyber security. So everyone explore the cyber security. I would like to tell one thing to you. So let us learn, let us be aware, let us stay alert, let us build a safer digital world together. So this is the things I would like to convey to you. So safely you can use your gadget and everything. Thank you everyone for giving the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we move on to the benedictory speech. I invite our respected manager, Reverend Father Joy P.T., to deliver the benedictory speech.
Very good morning to all. Respected Professor Dr. Jolie Andrews, Principal, Christ College in Yalakuda. Distinguished resource persons, Dr. S. Umama Rani, Dr. Akash K. Nair, and our officers from Kerala Police, Mr. A. Pramod and Mr. Sirajuddin A. Dear faculty members, research scholars, Father Wilson Parail, Dr. T. Vivekanandan, and my dear friends. It's a great honor for me to be with CyberShield 2026, the international seminar on cybersecurity organized by the Department of Computer Science. We live in a world that is increasingly digital. Technology has made our lives easier in many ways, from communication and education to business and governance. But at the same time, it has also brought new challenges. Cybersecurity has become one of the most important concerns of our time. It's no longer just a technical issue, it affects our safety, our privacy, and our future. Every day we hear about data breaches, online fraud, and other cyber threats. This makes it is essential for all of us to understand these risks and learn how to deal with them. This seminar is a timely and meaningful initiative that brings together experts from different fields, academic researchers, and law enforcement professionals to share knowledge and create awareness. The presence of such experienced resource persons is a great opportunity for our students and faculty to learn from the best. I am confident that the sessions today will be informative and valuable for all the participants. Events like this not only enhance knowledge but also inspire our students to think beyond textbooks and prepare for our real world challenges. I congratulate Department of Computer Science, the event coordinators, and the entire organization team for putting together this event in a beautiful manner, especially the HOD, Priyanka Madam, our congratulate department all. Give a good applause to them. Wish you all the best wishes, a fruitful time at Christ College. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father. We now proceed to the presentation ceremony. May I now request our respected Director of the Financing Section, Reverend Frank CMI, to deliver the presentation address.
Sorry, I think it's an international seminar. I know it very well, but nobody is international here. Only Marani is our own nearest place. I think many persons studied at Tamil Nadu. That's why you are also our own family member. Umarani, congratulations. Thanks to coming to this prestigious college. Thank you. And at the same time, I appreciate two persons are simply sitting here, but you are police officer. I know that. Now I understood you are police officers. Salute to you. Okay. Whatever may be the things. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ കോളേജിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് വന്നതിന് കൺഗ്രാജുലേഷൻസ് കേട്ടോ. അത്രയും പാട് കഴിച്ച് തിരുവനന്തപുരത്ത് വന്നില്ലേ. പിന്നെ ഞങ്ങളുടെ കൊച്ചുമക്കളുടെ മുഖം ഇതുവരെ ഒന്നും പുഞ്ചിരിച്ചു കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. എന്തോ ഒരു പ്രശ്നത്തിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഈ പോലീസ് ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാർ ഇരിക്കുന്നതുകൊണ്ടാണോ സംശയമുണ്ട് ഇവര്. ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഇൻസ്പെക്ടറും വരുന്നുണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കേട്ടു. വാട്ട് എവർ മേ ബി ദ തിങ്സ്. ഇന്നിപ്പോ രണ്ടുപേരെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ റൂമിൽ നിന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്. ഞാൻ അവന്റെ മുഖം കണ്ടപ്പോഴും അവന്റെ കണ്ണ് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞു, മോനെ ഇന്നലെ ഉറങ്ങിയോ മോൻ? നിന്റെ ഒരു തിളക്കമുണ്ട്. ഒരു അഡോൾസൻസ് പീരീഡിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ മുഖത്തിന്റെ ഒരു വിടരാൻ കൊതിക്കുന്ന പൂമുട്ടുകളാണ് നിങ്ങൾ. ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ വിടർന്നു തുടങ്ങി. ആ സൗന്ദര്യം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്നൊരു സംശയം ഇതിന്റെ ഒപ്പം ഞാൻ വെക്കുകയാണ്. നിങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള ആ ബ്യൂട്ടി ഓഫ് ദൈവം തന്ന ഒരു സുന്ദരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ലൈഫിന്റെ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ടതാണ് നമ്മുടെ മുഖം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഈ മുഖത്ത് നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഓരോ മനുഷ്യർ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഇന്ന് എന്തോ മുഖത്ത് നോക്കിയപ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കര വിഷാദം പോലെ തോന്നുന്നു. എല്ലാം നമ്മൾ റെക്കഗ്നൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന മുഖത്ത് കൂടിയാണ്. കണ്ണ് നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കുറേയൊക്കെ കാണാൻ, കുറേയൊക്കെ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. 5 പേര് ഇന്നലെ ഒരുമിച്ച് ഒരു ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിൽ നിൽക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. അതിലൊരു പയ്യൻ, ഞാൻ അവന്റെ കണ്ണിൽ നോക്കി, മോനെ മറ്റെല്ലാവരെയും വിട്ടു, ഇന്നലെ എപ്പോഴാ ഉറങ്ങിയേ? വളരെ 1 മണി 2 മണിയായി. പിന്നെ കാലത്തേറ്റ് പോകുന്നുല്ലേ? ഓക്കെ മോനെ, ഒരു 10:30 ഉറങ്ങ് എന്ന് ഞാൻ വെറുതെ പറഞ്ഞു. ചിലപ്പോൾ എനിക്കും പേടിയുണ്ട് അവനോടൊക്കെ പറയാൻ. എങ്കിലും ദ ബ്യൂട്ടി ഓഫ് ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീയിങ്, നിങ്ങളുടെ മുഖം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, ഇഫ് യു ഗോ ഫോർ ഇന്റർവ്യൂ ഓർ ഫോർ ഗോയിങ് ഫോർ എ പ്ലേസ്മെന്റ് സംവെയർ, the face is very important. At the same time, you must take rest. എത്രമാത്രം എങ്ങനെ ഉപയോഗിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതിനെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ളൊരു കൺട്രോൾ നമുക്കുണ്ടാകണമെന്ന് പറയുകയാണ്. ഞാൻ അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. ബാലം ഫിലിം നിങ്ങളൊക്കെ കണ്ടു എന്ന് തോന്നണല്ലേ? ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണാൻ ഒരു അവസരം കിട്ടി ഈ ദിവസങ്ങളിൽ. ബാലം ഫിലിമിലെ അമ്മാമ്മേനെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കോ? എനിക്ക് ഏറ്റവും നല്ല ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടത് അമ്മാമ്മയാണ്. അമ്മാമ്മയുടെ കയ്യിൽ ഒരു തോക്കുണ്ട്. അമ്മാമ്മയുടെ കയ്യിൽ തോക്കുമുണ്ട്, 2 ടൈപ്പ് ഉണ്ടുണ്ട്. ഇതൊക്കെ കണ്ടിരിക്കണവരാ ഒന്നും മിണ്ടാണ്ടിരിക്കണേ. ഒരു തോക്ക് സിംപിളി പേടിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാ. ഒരെണ്ണം ആൾക്കാരെ കൊല്ലാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടുള്ള സാധനം. ഒന്ന് ആളെ കൊല്ലും, ഒന്ന് പേടിപ്പിക്കാൻ. വെറുതെ ഒരു ശബ്ദം ഉണ്ടാക്കി മാവുമ്മ കയറുന്ന പിള്ളേരെ ഈ സാധനം ഇട്ടിട്ടാണ് അമ്മമ്മ പേടിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ അറ്റ് ദി സെയിം ടൈം വേറെ തരം ഉണ്ടുണ്ട്, അതുകൊണ്ട് മനുഷ്യരെ കൊല്ലാൻ പറ്റും. നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ മൊബൈൽ ഫോൺ, ഞാൻ വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു. വി ക്യാൻ കിൽ ourselves and others, or we can utilize it in a proper way. That is left to you, I think. Best wishes for this seminar. At the same time, I congratulate this department, energetic department. I think Varsha is calling and taking from my chair to this place, insisting her to come. Okay, I appreciate it. At the same time, I appreciate all the students, those who are participating in this seminar. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you for coordinator of the group financing section, Dr. Vivekanand sir, to offer his felicitations.
Good morning, everybody. Respected Manager, Reverend Father Joy Penikapan, Principal Professor Dr. Julie Andrews, CMI, resource person and guide of Varsha, it seems, guide of Varsha, and my native state friend, Dr. Sumar. I am from Tamil Nadu. I talked to her in Tamil, and she must have been surprised. And I heard when he heard talking me in Tamil. And Dr. Prakash is going to talk to you over online. And resource persons, Mr. Pramod and Sirajuddin from the Department of Police, Kerala Police, and other Priyanka, head of the department, Father Wilson, and Shiba, HR coordinator, and other distinguished faculty members and dear friends. Nothing to add from my side. As rightly mentioned by the principal and the resource person, Father Wilson Sarai, it's up to us to use the technology responsibly, carefully, and another thing is one important thing. Responsibility is okay, carefulness is okay, and should have ethics of using it. Ethical use of gadgets. Okay. And I appreciate wholeheartedly at the outset the Department of Computer Science for organizing this wonderful international seminar on cyber security related issues. And this is one of the contemporary topic which is being discussed everywhere because it is most important. As rightly mentioned by the principal, when you open a mobile at any moment, you may be hacked or your data may be taken off your mobile. And it's up to us to know the things, and we have wonderful personalities with us, academicians, and also lawmakers and our enforcers, and they will give you a clear picture about the current scenario and how to use and how things are going on in the contemporary scenario. I wish this seminar a great success, and I wish all the participants have a great interactive session. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Have a great time.
Thank you, sir. We go to the conclusion of the inaugural ceremony. Express our gratitude to everyone who has contributed to making this occasion meaningful. George Krish, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected Reverend Father Jolie Andrew CMI, our principal, Reverend Father Joy PT, our manager, Reverend Father Wilson Tarail CMI, Director of Self-Financing Section, Dr. T. Vivekanandan Sir, Coordinator of Self-Financing Section, Ms. Sheba Varghese, HR Coordinator, Ms. Priyanka Kaki, HOD, our esteemed resource persons, faculty members, dear students, and all the distinguished participants, a very good morning to one and all. It is my privilege and pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on this special occasion of COVISHIELD 2026 International Seminar on Cyber Security organized by the Department of Computer Science, Christ College Autonomous, Iringalkuda. So before proposing the vote of thanks, I would like to invite the chief guest of the international seminar onto the stage.
It is our immense privilege and honor to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Shaji M.K., Subdivision of Iringalkuda. May I now request our respected chief guest, Sir, to quickly address the gathering.
പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട യോഗത്തിന്റെ അധ്യക്ഷൻ, വേദിയിലിരിക്കുന്ന വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങളെ, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട വിദ്യാർത്ഥിനികളെ, വളരെ സന്തോഷത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ് സൈബറുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ഈ സെക്ഷൻ ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്തതായി നിങ്ങളുടെ മുമ്പിൽ വന്നു നിൽക്കുന്നത്. അതിന് കാരണം ഇന്ന് പോലീസ് നേരിടുന്ന ഏറ്റവും വലിയ കുറ്റകൃത്യങ്ങളിലൊന്നായി മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് സൈബർ ക്രൈം. മുൻകാലങ്ങളിൽ പോലീസ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഭയപ്പെട്ടിരുന്നത് അടിയും ഇടിയുമാണെങ്കിൽ ഇന്ന് അതിൻ്റെ 4 ഇരട്ടി ക്രൈമാണ് ഓരോ വർഷവും ഈ സൈബറുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് നേരിടേണ്ടി വരുന്നത്. ക്രൈം വരുന്നതിലല്ല, അതിൻ്റെ നേട്ടങ്ങൾ കോട്ടങ്ങളും നാം മനസ്സിലാക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നത് ഒരുപാട് ജീവിതങ്ങളാണ് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു കണ്ടെത്തലും കൂടി പോലീസ് അതിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായി നിങ്ങളുടെ മുമ്പിൽ അവതരിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഇത്തരം സെമിനാറുകൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ ഉള്ളിലുള്ള ഒരു ആത്മവിശ്വാസം, ഒരു ക്രെഡിബിലിറ്റി വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കാൻ ഇടയാക്കുമെന്ന് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. കാരണം നമ്മുടെ പുതിയ തലമുറയിൽപ്പെട്ട വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹങ്ങൾക്കിടയിൽ വളർന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ആത്മബലമില്ലായ്മ, ഒന്ന് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു തെറ്റ് ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിച്ചാൽ ആ തെറ്റിനെ നേരിടാനുള്ള ശക്തി നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട ഒരു വിഭാഗം വിദ്യാർത്ഥിനികൾ ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹത്തിൽ കൂടിക്കൂടി കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം കൂടി എനിക്കൊരു BSc വിദ്യാർത്ഥിനിയെ നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു. ഈ അടുത്ത ദിവസം കൂടി എനിക്കൊരു BSc കെമിസ്ട്രിക്ക് പഠിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വിദ്യാർത്ഥിയെ നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടമായി. അങ്ങനെ അനുദിനം വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്കിടയിൽ ആത്മബലം നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. അങ്ങനെയുള്ളൊരു ചെറിയ വിഭാഗമെങ്കിലും വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹം നമുക്കിടയിൽ വളർന്നു വരുന്നു. അവിടെയാണ് ആ വളർന്നു വരുന്ന ഈ ആത്മബലമില്ലായ്മ വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹങ്ങൾക്കിടയിൽ അത് കൂട്ടിയെടുക്കാൻ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ക്ലാസ്സുകളിലൂടെ നമുക്ക് കഴിയും. സൈബർ ക്രൈം അതിന് ഒരു തുടക്കം, ഈ സൈബർ സെക്ഷൻ അതിനൊരു തുടക്കമായി മാറണം എന്നുകൂടി ഞാൻ പ്രത്യാശിക്കുന്നു. ഞാനിപ്പോ ഒരു 15 ദിവസമായിട്ടുള്ളൂ ഈ പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷനിലേക്ക് ഇരിങ്ങാലക്കുട സബ് ഡിവിഷനിലേക്ക് ട്രാൻസ്ഫർ ആയി വന്നത്. അതിക്ക് തൊട്ടു മുമ്പ് ഏകദേശം 6 മാസക്കാലത്തോളം ഞാൻ തിരുവനന്തപുരം സൈബർ ഡിവിഷൻ SHO ആയി സേവനമനുഷ്ഠിച്ച് വരികയായിരുന്നു. ഒരു ദിവസം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഏകദേശം 100-നടുത്ത് പെറ്റീഷൻസ് ആണ് സൈബർ ക്രൈമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് വരുന്നത്. അതിൽ ഏകദേശം ഒരു 75% വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹങ്ങളുടെ ഇടയിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്ന, വെറും 25 വയസ്സിൽ താഴെയുള്ള വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്കിടയിൽ നിന്നും വരുന്ന പെറ്റീഷൻസ് ആണ്. പലതരത്തിലും ചൂഷണത്തിനടിമപ്പെട്ട, അത് പ്രതിരോധിക്കാൻ അറിയാതെ, അതിനെ അവോയ്ഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ അറിയാതെ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ തളരുന്ന അവസ്ഥയിലാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ മുമ്പിലേക്ക് എത്തുന്നത്. കുടുംബം, നമുക്കറിയാം, ഒരാൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ വീട്ടിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രശ്നത്തിൽ അടിമപ്പെട്ടു പോയാൽ നിങ്ങൾ മാത്രമല്ല നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നത്, ആ കുടുംബത്തിന്റെ തന്നെ ശിഥിലതയാണ് അവിടെ ആരംഭിക്കുന്നത്. ഒരു ഉദാഹരണത്തിന്, നമുക്കിടയിൽ ഒരു ഡ്രഗിസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടായാൽ, ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സ്റ്റുഡന്റ് ഒരു ഡ്രഗിന് അടിമപ്പെട്ടു പോയാൽ ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തി മാത്രമല്ല ആ കുടുംബത്തെ നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നത്, ആ കുടുംബം തന്നെ നാശത്തിന്റെ വക്കിലേക്ക് എത്തുന്ന സ്ഥിതിവിശേഷമാണ് നമുക്കുണ്ടാകുന്നത്. അതേ ഒരു അവസ്ഥയാണ് ഈ സൈബർ ക്രൈംസിലൂടെ നമുക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയെടുക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്നത്. നിരവധി തട്ടിപ്പുകൾ, ഒരു ഉദാഹരണം പറയാം. ജസ്റ്റ് ബികോം കംപ്ലീറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഞാനൊരു ക്രൈം രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്തത് ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടി ബികോം ജസ്റ്റ് കംപ്ലീറ്റഡ് ആയി. ആ കുട്ടി ഒരു ഉയർന്ന സ്ഥാപനത്തിൽ ഒരു അക്കൗണ്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ട് പോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു. മാനേജർ വന്ന് ചോദിക്കുന്നു, ഈ 75 ലക്ഷം രൂപ നിങ്ങൾ ആർക്കാണ് ഇട്ടുകൊടുത്തത്? അപ്പോൾ ആ കുട്ടി പറയുന്നു, സാറല്ലേ എൻ്റെ മൊബൈലിലേക്ക് ഈ അക്കൗണ്ടിലേക്ക് 75 ലക്ഷം രൂപ ഇടൂ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. സാറിന്റെ മൊബൈൽ ഫോണിൽ നിന്ന്, ശ്രദ്ധിക്കണം, സാറിന്റെ മൊബൈൽ ഫോണിൽ നിന്നാണ് മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചത്. ഫോട്ടോവും വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് മറ്റൊരുത്തൻ ഒരു അക്കൗണ്ട് പുറത്തുനിന്ന് കയറി ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തു. അവൻ അവിടെ നിന്നായിട്ട് മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചു കുട്ടിക്ക്. ഈ രീതിയിലുള്ള സൈബർ ക്രൈംസ് അനുദിനം വളർന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ മാനസികമായി നമ്മൾ തകർന്നു പോകും. ഇത് സാമ്പത്തികമായിട്ടുള്ള സൈബർ ക്രൈംസ്. അതിനപ്പുറത്തേക്ക് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു ഫോട്ടോ നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു സുഹൃത്തുക്കളോടൊപ്പം ഒന്ന് ഷെയർ ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഫോട്ടോ, ഏതെങ്കിലും തരത്തിലൊരു ഫോട്ടോ ക്രെഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതേത് വികൃത ഫോമിലും ഇട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതം നശിപ്പിക്കാൻ പറ്റിയ ഒരു തലമുറയാണ് ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹത്തിൽ വളർന്നു വരുന്നത് എന്ന ബോധ്യം കൂടി നമുക്ക് ഉണ്ടാകും. ഇതിനെ എങ്ങനെ പ്രതിരോധിക്കാം? ഈ സൈബർ ക്രൈമുകൾക്ക് എങ്ങനെ അടിമപ്പെടാതെ നമുക്ക് ജീവിക്കാൻ കഴിയണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഈ ഒരു ദിവസം നീണ്ടു നിൽക്കുന്ന ഈ സൈബർ ഡിവിഷനുമായി സൈബറുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ഈ ക്ലാസ്സുകളുടെ അബോധം. ഇത് നിങ്ങൾ മാക്സിമം ഷെയർ ചെയ്യണം, ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യണം. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ചോദിച്ചുള്ള സംശയങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങൾ ദൂരീകരിക്കണം. കൂടുതൽ ഒന്നും ഞാൻ പറയുന്നില്ല, കാരണം 10:30 മണിക്ക് ഇന്ന് ഞങ്ങളുടെ പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷനുകളുടെ ഭരണം SHOമാരെ ഏൽപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുള്ളൊരു മീറ്റിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്. അതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് 10:20 മണിക്ക് സംസ്ഥാന പോലീസ് മേധാവി ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗ് വിളിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിൽ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് ഈ സൈബർ സെമിനാറുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ഈ യോഗം ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യാനായി എന്നെ ക്ഷണിച്ച ഇതിന്റെ ഭാരവാഹികളോട് ഞാൻ അതീവമായ നന്ദി രേഖപ്പെടുത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും, ഒപ്പം തന്നെ കൊല്ല പോലീസിന് കിട്ടിയ ഒരു അംഗീകാരമായി, കാരണം ഞങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് നേരിടുന്നതിൽ ഏറ്റവും നല്ല പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ ഒന്ന് സൈബർ ക്രൈമുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഒരു പ്രശ്നമാണ്. ആ പ്രശ്നത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഏറ്റവും അധികം വിക്റ്റിമായിട്ട് വരുന്നത് വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹമാണ് എന്നത് തിരിച്ചറിവ് കൂടി നിങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. ഒരു കാര്യം കൂടി ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാണ്. ഈ സൈബർ ക്രൈം എടുത്ത് ഞങ്ങൾ പരിശോധിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഏകദേശം 80% വരുന്ന വിക്ടിംസ് 80% വരുന്ന വിക്ടിംസ് ഹൈലി എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളായിട്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാനായിട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞത്. ഹൈലി എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് ഡോക്ടർമാർ, എഞ്ചിനീയർമാർ, ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ്സ്, ഡിഗ്രി ഹോൾഡേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെയാണ്, ഹൈലി ക്വാളിഫൈഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളാണ് ഇതിന്റെ സൈബർ ക്രൈമിന്റെ വിക്ടിമായി വരുന്നത്. അതേസമയം ഇതിന്റെ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ പ്രതികളെ പിടിച്ച് ഞങ്ങൾ കോടതിയുടെ മുമ്പിൽ ഹാജരാക്കുമ്പോൾ വെറും 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സിലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ +2 അതിനപ്പുറത്തേക്ക് വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമുള്ള ആളുകൾ വളരെ കുറച്ച് മാത്രമേ ഉന്നത വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമുള്ള ആളുകളുള്ളൂ എന്നൊരു തിരിച്ചറിവ് കൂടി ഞങ്ങൾ. അപ്പോൾ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമുള്ള ആളുകളും ഇത് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ഒപ്പം തന്നെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമില്ലാത്ത നിരവധി ആളുകളാണ് ഈ കേസിലേക്ക് പ്രതികരണപ്പെട്ടു വരുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ വിക്ടിമാക്കപ്പെട്ടു വരുന്നത് നല്ലൊരു ശതമാനം ഹൈലി എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളാണ്. ആ നിയമത്തിന്റെ ഈ അറിവിന്റെ അജ്ഞത, ഇതെങ്ങനെ സൈബർ എങ്ങനെ ഉപയോഗിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതിന്റെ ഒരു അജ്ഞത, ഇത് മുതലെടുത്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ വക ആളുകൾ നമ്മളെല്ലാം, വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹങ്ങളെ ഒക്കെ തന്നെ ഈ തരത്തിൽ ചൂഷണം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ആ തിരിച്ചറിവ് നിങ്ങൾ നേടണം. ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് കിട്ടുന്ന പ്രിവെൻഷനാണ്, ഡിഫൻസ്, ഒരു ഷീൽഡ്, സൈബർ ഷീൽഡ് നമുക്കിടയിൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉണ്ടാവണം. നിങ്ങളെ ചൂഷണം ചെയ്യാൻ വരുന്നവരെ തടയാനുള്ള ഒരു നേതൃത്വപരമായ ഗുണം നിങ്ങൾ പ്രകടിപ്പിക്കണം. പ്രകടിപ്പിച്ചാൽ മാത്രം പോരാ. ഇവിടെ 100 പേരാണ് ഈ സെമിനാറിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ഈ 100 പേർ മറ്റുള്ളവർക്ക് ഇത് പകർന്നു കൊടുക്കണം. ഞാൻ മാത്രം രക്ഷപ്പെട്ടാൽ പോരാ, എനിക്ക് ചുറ്റുമുള്ള സമൂഹം മുഴുവൻ രക്ഷപ്പെടണം. എൻ്റെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, എൻ്റെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള വിദ്യാർത്ഥി സമൂഹം മുഴുവൻ രക്ഷപ്പെടണമെന്നുള്ള ആത്മാർത്ഥമായ ഒരു ശ്രമം കൂടി നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്ന് ഉണ്ടാകണമെന്ന് മാത്രം പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും അനുഗ്രഹത്തോടു കൂടി ഈ സെഷൻ ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്തതായി പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുന്നു. ജയ് ഹിന്ദ്.
Shaji, token of appreciation. Thank you so much. Now I request Rashya Miss to continue with the word of thanks.
Once again, a very good morning to one and all. So my duty is to deliver the vote of thanks, and without encouragement, guidance, and support. Thank you, Father. Your presence and inspiring words have added great value to this program, and we are truly grateful for your continued encouragement towards the academic initiatives of our department. And I extend my sincere thanks to Reverend Father Joy PT, our manager, for his valuable support and encouragement. Thank you, Father. And also, I would like to thank Shaji sir, respected DYSP, for inaugurating our seminar. My heartfelt thanks to Reverend Father Wilson Tarail CMI, Director of Self-Financing Section, for his continued support to the department. I also express my sincere gratitude to Vivekanandan sir, Shindo sir, and Sheba Miss for their valuable support and cooperation in making this program possible. And I also would like to express my sincere thanks to our HOD, Priyanka Miss, for her constant support throughout this program. Now, it is my great pleasure to express our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished resource person. First, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. S. Umarani for being with us today and for sharing her valuable knowledge and insights with our academic community. And we are also delighted to have with us Dr. Akash K. Nair, our alumnus and research fellow at Nottingham Trent University, UK, who will be joining with us in an online session after this. Thank you, Akash, for taking the time to be part of CyberShield 2026. And I would like to sincerely thank Pramod sir and Sirajuddin sir for conducting the hands-on session on malware analysis. It will be happening in the afternoon session. We hope your practical insights and real-world experiences will certainly help our students and faculties to understand the challenges involved in cybersecurity more effectively. And finally, I extend my sincere thanks to each and every person who has contributed directly or indirectly to the success of CyberShield 2026. As we conclude this program, I hope that knowledge, insights, and experiences we have gained today will inspire us to become more aware, responsible, and resilient in the digital world. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce our esteemed resource person, Professor Dr. S. Umarani, Professor of Computer Science at SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. Professor Dr. Sumarani is an accomplished academician, researcher, mentor, and technology professional with extensive experience in the field of computer science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, big data, cloud computing, and data mining, computer networks, application developments. She has over 19 years of teaching experience along with more than 4 years of industry experience. She obtained her PhD from Anna University, Chennai, with her doctoral research focusing on efficient fault recovery for single and multiple failures using P-cycle in WDM optical networks. Currently, she serves as a professor at SRM Institute of Science and Technology and has previously served as professor and head of the Department of Computer Science. She has also held several important academic and administrative responsibilities, including head of the department, NAC coordinator, and ASD approval process convener. Her areas of academic and research data mining, computer networks, data structures, web and development, and algorithm design. Professor Dr. Umarani has made significant contributions to research through numerous Scopus, Web of Science, SCI, ESCI, IEEE, Springer, and other reputed publications. Her research work covers diverse contemporary areas including deep learning, machine learning, cloud security, IoT, e-learning analytics, student performance prediction, healthcare applications, 5G, cybersecurity, and intelligent systems. She is also accomplished innovator with several published patent and a designed grant covering applications such as AI-driven healthcare, e-learning, intelligent assistance systems, facial recognition, and AI-based infrastructure management. She also received funded projects for AI-driven subway waterlogging management project. Adding to her accomplishment, she is a Guinness World Record holder for Windows App Fest in 2012, conducted by Microsoft, and has guided her students to participate in the record. She has received several recognitions, including Best Paper Awards, Best Researcher Award, and Aristriad SML Award. She has also been actively involved in academic outreach and professional development, having organized more than 300 seminars, FDPs, workshops, and conferences, including programs conducted in collaborations with IIT Bombay. She has received guest lectures, keynote addresses, and served as a session chair at various academic and professional events. Her commitment to teaching, research, innovations, student mentoring, and academic leadership makes her an inspiring academic resource. We are indeed privileged to have Professor Dr. S. Umarani with us today. On behalf of the organizing committee, faculty members, and participants, I extend a warm and cordial welcome to her. Ma'am, we are delighted to have you with us, and we look forward to insightful and enriching session from you. Welcome, ma'am. Sound of that is a very less song. Good morning. So it is now it's like this. Okay. So all of them complete student average. Anybody is based number six. What is the measure in BCA? Oh, very good. Before discussing about the cyber security,
Okay, so while we are sitting here for listening this seminar, but did you ask the question from you? Did you ask? Teachers are arranging this seminar for us, so that's why we are sitting here, alright? Okay. So whatever the topic, that is whatever the subject you learn from your curriculum, but the cybersecurity is not a subject. Or if you are not, it is part of our life. Okay, it is part of our life. So definitely you should know very well, each and every one of you know very well what is cybersecurity. So before discussing about the cybersecurity, I would like to discuss something like so I am working and I am traveling with something. I am doing some upgrades on my computer. I don't know the languages writing my data from the system and he's doing something with my data and then he produce some report and then he has been concerned. This is the scenario. It is what is happening in earlier days. Okay, so that means that we have the information from the machines. Okay, from the machines. Then we have not given the chance to have the information. Sometimes mistake that we think something that they want to see the information from the system. Okay, so this is happening in so nowadays it is not like that in the cyber security. So why we are sitting here that explore about cyber security means so nowadays whatever you want to need you can able to take it easily with the help of here. Alright? Why the topic is even cyber instead of cyber security, why the topic is even cyber shield? Anyone? Cyber awareness. Okay, cyber awareness. So I am teaching something about cyber security. Okay, so you should know very well about that what is meant by cyber security or not. So before that, I would like to discuss about the current scenario of the cyber security. Okay. So one of my friends received a call from somebody is asking, that means the number is not unknown number, the number is his friend number. Who is calling him and asking the money, I want money, this much amount of money, so please give that money like that. So the person is thinking what the name is he said this is well to do, not possible to asking the money from him. So he thought about that, he would like to verify once again, asking about the money. So that's why he is thinking, not responding. Okay, so suddenly the video call has come. So it is very urgent for me, so you can give the money, some money. Okay, so then so finally the person is sending the money to him. But after some days he is asking the money about the money. So already you have taken some money from me, so please give return back the money to me. So but the person is told that so definitely it is available still 7 years. Okay, so that's why I would like to tell about some introduction about the cyber security. Then so what is in our content means first one, what is cyber security? Why cyber security? How cyber security work, who is a cyber security expert, courses and certification required, higher studies and research challenges. Okay, so here I have not included the research challenges. There are so many problems available here. So nowadays I am working in LLM. That means generating something, and based on that only my preparation is going on. But even though I would like to explore something about the cyber security. So what is cyber security? Cyber security is the technology and process that is designed to protect network devices from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. Okay, see here. So it helps to protect network devices from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. So the main advantage of using the cyber security is protection of your business. Okay, which helps to increase your productivity and inspire customer confidence. Then it stops your website from crashing. Then protect for your customer or clients. So that's why we are using the cyber security. See here, this is a scenario is taken for the advantages. So you have some business. If you want to protect your business, which helps to increase the productivity of your business and inspire the customer confidence. And also, you want to stop your website from crashing. Then protect your customer or client. So this is nothing but call it as a cyber security. So why we are studying this means it prevent from the attack, damage, and unauthorized access. So that's why we go for the cyber security. This is small introduction about the cyber security. Then there are three main pillars available in cyber security. See here, what are the three pillars are there in the diagram? What are the three pillars? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So confidentiality means so authorized user only can possible to access. So already we feed some instruction about the user. Okay, then according to that only we can able to utilize the things. First it will be checking with whether the user is valid user or invalid user, or authorized user or unauthorized user. So this is the first part. In the second is integrity. Integrity means so it will be checking. Suppose you are sending some message to somebody, but somebody is altered your message. Whether the message is altered by somebody or not. So it will be checking this integrity part. So that will we need integrity also in a cyber security. And third one, availability. So if the data is available, then only you can able to utilize the data. So you must be checked with the availability of the data for the process. Okay, so this three major pillars majorly play in the cyber security. So one is confidentiality, another one is integrity, and third one is availability. What is this? I told that I have given a few terms. One is confidentiality, and second one is integrity, and third one is availability. So what is meant by confidentiality? So we are repeatedly talking about this three only in all the terms. Okay. So what is meant by confidentiality? What is meant by confidentiality? Whether the user is authorized user or unauthorized user. So here I have given one example. What is that example? I have given one example. Now, what is that example? This is my data. Okay, this is my data. Data is available. My data is, okay, my data is click not, okay, leave him. So this is my message I am sending to the opponent. Okay, I am sending to the opponent. The data is available. I am an authorized person sending the data to the sender. Alright? Am I right or wrong? Okay, what is the message? My message is kill him now, leave him. Okay. The hacker hacked my message. Okay, the hacker hacked my message and he or she applied the alteration on my message. What is the alteration here? What is the alteration? Comma. The comma is appear before, after the not. So currently the comma is appear in front of, in front of not. Alright? Okay. So my message is altered by somebody. Okay, somebody, but the receiver has received kill him, not leave him. So the entire scenario will be changed. Alright? The entire scenario will be changed. What is this? What is the category of this? What is the example? I have given example now. What is the category of this? Is it confidentiality? It is integrity? Is it availability? What is the category of this? The category is very good. The category is integrity. Okay, the category is integrity. So whenever if you want to do anything, you must focus on integrity. Okay, you must focus on integrity. So whenever you are sending any message, definitely you are sending message to the authorized person only. So definitely the data also available. Okay, it's a common for all. So the integrity part is missing. Whenever you have any some changes occur in the data, alteration occur in the data, so definitely it will miss it. Alright? Okay, so that's why the CA is called as pillar of the cybersecurity. Okay, pillar of the cybersecurity. You must focus on which part? Integrity part. The integrity part is correct means the both pillar are good. Okay, we can listen to the unauthorized person and also the availability of the data. But integrity is bigger question mark. So you have to verify the integrity part. Okay, so this is the small introduction about the pillar of the cybersecurity. The cybersecurity has two parts. One is cybercrime, another one is hack. Okay, so cybercrime means is any criminal activity that involves a computer, network device, or a network. Okay, so that is nothing but called as cybercrime. You know the hack, you know the difference between the hack and then cybercrime. So it has two broader fields. One is crime, another one is hacking. So crime means any criminal activity that involves a computer, network device, or network. This is called as a cybersecurity. Suppose the person is stealing your information. So the other end is asking money for the data. Okay. So this is one scenario carried out here. So that is the example of the second point. Most cyber crimes are carried out in order to generate profit for the cyber criminals. So definitely they will ask money for the data. Whatever the data steal from your system. Okay, so they will ask the money for you, ransom. It is nothing but what called as a ransomware. Okay. Then the cybercrime or directly attacks computer or devices directly to damage or disable them, spread malware, steal secret information, etc. So, what is the role for the crime means? So, the major role is damage the system, damage the devices, damage the computer, disable the computer, and it spread the malware. Okay, and also steal secret information from the system. So this is the mainly focused on the cybercrime. So what are the three types of cybercrime available here? So there are the first type was computer asserted threat, and second one is computer as the target threat, and third one is computer incidental to the crime. So we also give the example for computer assisted crime. Could you possibly give the example for this computer assisted crime? The definition is there. What is the first one? What is the requirement of the first one? Computer assisted crime. The requirement of the first crime is computer. Because what is the title of the first one? Computer assisted crimes. Computer assisted crimes. So definitely you need a computer. Okay, computer. Then you can do the crime activities. Okay, computer assisted crime. So for example, fraud, denial of service. Denial of service means you have a server at a time, number of requests occur. Means so definitely the denial of service is the server will be crashed. So it is not possible to continue. So for example, whenever the exam result is released, okay, at the time all the students are referring with the same server. What is happening? Server goes to down. Okay, server goes to down. So if you want to make it like this crime, you go for the first part. Okay, crime assisted, computer assisted crime. Second one, computer as a target crime. What is this? Computer as a target crime. I have given an example here. You can think by own. What is this? You can able to spread virus. So how to spread the virus to the system? You can add some more coding in the existing coding. So definitely it will be crash the system. Okay, so if you are doing like this crime, so that is nothing but calling as a computer as the target crimes. Third one, computer incidental to the crimes. What is the third one? Could you possible to see this PPT? Is it clear? What is the third one? Computer incidental to the crimes. Give an example for this. What is this? That means no digital use of the computer. So you can do so many activities. So many examples are given, so many questions. Alright? So just to throw the message to the WhatsApp, then collecting all the information from the gadgets. So in that scenario, no need to use the computer. So without the help of the computer, they are able to steal the information. So nowadays, most of the problems is under computers incidental to the crimes. So that means whatever the prompt you have given in LLM, so you can able to create a crime. Can you clear this one? So this is the major crime activities available with the computer and then without computer. If you have any doubt, using the computer you can able to make a crime activity. Without using computer you can make a crime activity. So wherever facility you have, according to that you can able to use. Okay. So this is a small introduction about cyber crime. So I would like to discuss with one scenario. It is a company. The company, many employees reported that either this is suspicious link. So there is a company. There are so many employees in a link. Okay. So that means it is a malware link. Okay. So whenever you click that malware link, the link may be received from email, Facebook, or Skype. So what is the action taken by the company means they stop all the process. Okay. So whatever they are telling all the employee in a company to stop all the process. Currently, the particular duration. Are you clear this one? This is a scenario. Okay. So in the scenario, the IT security team scanned all the system and blocked the Facebook and Skype on all machines under further order. So they have not possible to access the few premises in the computer. Okay, so for example, so whenever you are utilizing your lab, some of the browser not working in the lab, am I right? What are the facility available in your lab? Now first you should know very well about that what is meant by cyber security. What are the facility you have in your lab? Is it possible to open YouTube? Is it possible? Yes. Okay. So is it possible to use Google? Yes. Is it possible to open LLM? Oh, yes. So in my university, it is not possible to open all these steps. Okay, so whatever the authorized mail ID we have used, okay, so that authorized mail ID only can open with our browser. Okay, okay, it is not possible to open all the activities. Why they are stopping all those things means some of them have taken data from the university, so that's why they have stopped all the things. So similarly, it has happened in company also. It will be stopped YouTube, Facebook, as well as the Skype. Okay. So this is the scenario. I would like to ask one question to you. So what type of computer crime is referred to this scenario? It is computer assisted crime. What are the types of crime I have discussed here? Computer assisted crime. What is the second one? Computer as the target crimes, computer incidental to the crime. So I have given one scenario now. So what is the type of crimes happen here? What's the type of crime happen here? Computer as target crime. Very good. So whenever through the link, they are clicking the link, they can able to take the data from the system, from the company. Okay, so like this matter, you can take the different scenario, then you can able to find out your problem, then you try to solve it. Okay, so you have not taken a simple problem whether the user is valid user or not, like that. So initially you have to focus on this type of problem, but later that you must be focused on like this scenario, then you can able to find out to solve those problems. Okay, definitely it will be help you for your further in. Then the motive behind the cyber crime is information theft and manipulating the data. Okay, so we know very well about that. What are the motivation for the cyber crime? Definitely the information is theft. So this is the first point. And also using that information can able to manipulate the data. So here the integrity is involved. Okay, so this is the first point. Second point, creating fear and chaos by disturbing critical infrastructure. That means whenever suppose you are sitting in the classroom and you are using mobile phone, what is happening? Teacher is taking class. You are using mobile phone. What is happening? Teacher is taking class. You are using mobile phone. Definitely, teacher asking your mobile phone. Alright? He is taking the mobile phone simply. But nowadays, the people are panic. Why the people are panic? Why the people are panic? What do you mean by panic? Fear. Suppose the teacher seeing any WhatsApp message. Definitely you have some panic, no? So that's why the intruder is doing the crime within our gadgets. Alright? So this is second point. Crime taken, they are asking the money from us, so that is nothing but call it as a ransom. And next one is damaging reputation to the target. Okay, so definitely they will give the information. So recently in our that is CM. Our CM, they are giving some wrong messages spreaded over through the YouTube oftenly, okay, for spoiling his name. Okay, so like this damaging reputation target also happened with the help of the crime activity. Then propagating religious or political beliefs, and final one, disturbing business continuity. So if you are doing your business very well and your opponent party not, like that means they would like to stop your business process. So that time they can do some crime activity for your against your business. Hacker, that means offensive hacker. And what about the grade? It may be a defensive or offensive. Okay, depends on the situation, the hacker may be a offensive hacker or defensive hacker. Okay, so based on the color, you can able to segregate the hacker. So there are three type of hacker available. So one is black hat, another one is grey hat, and third one is white hat. White hat means definitely they can do only ethical hacking. But the black hat always doing unethical hacking, and grey is both. Okay, and also some other hacking methods also available in the current market. The first one is suicide hacker. That means he hacked the information. He is not worried about his lives also. Okay, so whenever he sacrifices all her lives. So after hacking, definitely they have some punishment. They know very well about that. Severe punishment. They are very dangerous. Those who are under the suicide hacker, so you have to neglect the person. Then the somehow hacker also I have mentioned here, script criminal hacker. So that means the real that means software is developed and script or software may be included in the already available software. So automatically the information can able to steal from the system. So this is also one type of hacker. And next one is cyber terrorist. That is a range of skill motivated by religious or political belief to create fear by large scale destruction of the computer networks. So that means it creates some belief system and creating the fear for us. So that type of hacker also available. Then next one is state sponsored hacker. That means individual employee by the government to penetrate and gain top secret information and to damage information system to other governments. Okay, India, Pakistan. So India has an information Pakistan enough. What is happening by the Pakistan? Damage our information. So if you are doing like this hacking means, so that is nothing but calling as a state sponsored hacker. It is much related to the government. The government is focused on this type hackers. And next one is activist, individual who promote a political agenda by hacking, especially defacing or disable website. So if you want to disable the website, so the hacker is under the category of activist. Okay, so this type of hacker available for the cyber security. You go for the DOS attack, denial of service attack. The simple example for the real-time scenario, you have a tea shop, at a time 100 people coming for tea means what is happening? It is not possible to provide at a time 100%. Definitely it is very difficult for us. So the system will be hanged. Sometimes the usual work now probably done by the shop. So like this manner, if you want to create any attack in your system, you go for DOS attack. And next one is man in the middle attack. Man in the middle attack means so the person is accessing the particular website through the network will enable to disturb the person as well as the net. That is website. Okay, so if you are giving the attack like that means so that is nothing but calling as a man in the middle attack. Okay. The next one is drive-by attack, where the web application get compromised and script are embedded within those applications or within command that are all sent out by the user. So that means Drive-by attack means already you have some script. It is purely based on web application. So this is not only drive-by attack. The same thing will be happening with the help of cross-site scripting attack. So the both are acting similarly for the web application. So whenever you are developing any web application, okay, any web application, you can, if you want to attack the web application, or if you want to damage the web application, okay, if you want to disable the web application, so that scenario you can able to raise the drive-by attack and cross-site scripting attack. The next one is password attack, where hacker try to compromise the password of the user by cracking them based either on brute force or dictionary-based attack or password guessing. So the password attack already you know something about that. If you want to crack the password, you can able to apply some mechanism for cracking the password easily. If you know the user type, okay, you can easily find out the password. You may guess. Okay, your guess may be right. So this type of attack is nothing but called as a password attack. And next one is eavesdropping attack. So this is actually is very much related to the password attack like that. So whenever if you are using the any the secret information transfer between one to another, so that situation you are encrypted or you are attaching some password within that. Okay, so that scenario the intruder can able to take the password and steal the information and crash the information. So if you want to apply this attack, you go for this too. Then next one is SQL injection attack means you are writing the query for attack the particular system. Okay, so if you know about the data, you are writing some query. Through that query, if you are attack the system is nothing but called as a SQL injection attack. Then last one, birthday attack. It is very much related to encryption method. There are so many encryption methods available for finding the password. Okay, so this all the attacks is commonly used in cybersecurity. Then we go for history of cyber crime. Okay, so the first one is in 1980, the MNC data set. That means IBM has some data set. The data is stolen from some hacker. Okay, so the crime activity is involved in IBM. And in 1990, national crackdown on criminals. Microsoft NT operating system is released. Listen. So recently, the Microsoft Microsoft recently hacked by some of the hacker. At the time, all the flights not running. You heard about this news? You heard about 6 months later? Okay, 6 months later. So this was happened recently in the Microsoft, and earlier in 1990 also it will be happened like that. In 2007, the biggest ever hack. That means the money taken from the bank. Okay, so somebody is taken money from the bank account. So how much account, how many money is taken from the bank means $1 million. Okay, that much of amount will be taken from the bank. The how many accounts used for taking the money means nearly 250 accounts is taken. Okay, the next one 2013. Adobe 2.9 million accounts stolen. 2016, 788 million malicious attack occurred according to the Kaspersky. Okay, so this is the history of the cyber security. So like this manner, so many crime as well as the hacking processes happen nowadays also. It is purely based on AI. So in this part, it's not purely based on AI. Okay, so it is based on using some attack. So then the data is taken from the companies. So these four famous persons are in cyber security. The first person is Robert T. Morris. he is the best known for creating what is called the Morris worm. Okay, so the Morris worm. Worm means it is like that virus. Okay, he is creating Morris worm and he spread the Morris worm to the entire internet. Then system will be collapsed. This is the first computer worm that has been identified on the internet. Okay, so whenever using the internet user is a target user for him, and those who are used to the internet, he is having that information from the internet. So he is the first one is introducing the modus one. Okay, so second one, Kevin Lee, he was accused for hacking into Los Angeles radio station called KASFM. But sometimes later he feel very much about his activity. He stopped to use computer, he stopped to use internet and everything. Okay, then finally he is changed. He has some punishment. After that, he is changed with his activities. So he is the second person. And third person, David L. Smith, he created Melissa virus. Now Melissa virus, one of the most dynamic virus known around March 1999. When this happened, this virus was released. This was a macro-based virus which affected Microsoft Word and Outlook. Okay, so the person is affected the Microsoft Word and Outlook based files. And fourth one, Adam, he gained unauthorized access to low corporate computer network via an unsecured wireless access point captured communication. Listen, the first person is mainly focused on Morris worm. He developed a Morris worm through that, then stole the information. And second one is affected the radio station. And third one is creating the Melissa virus. And fourth one is stealing the credit card information from the bank. Okay, through the internet. So all those things will be developed through the internet. With all punishment. Okay, and the last person also currently in jail. The concept of cybersecurity. Listen, whatever we discussed, we are discussing about problem and what are the type of attacks we have. The attacker is attacked the door, so unable to open. Okay, very good. So, listen, whenever the attention is here, definitely it is good. Okay, so whatever the discussing here, I hope you have something about what is being cybersecurity, am I right? And what are the type of cybersecurity is crime and hack. So the crime means you can make possible to make only three type of crime. With the computer, without computer, computer assisted crime. Okay, computer assisted crime. So what is the type of crime happen? So how to rectify that crime? It is a matter. Am I right? So this is one part. In the second part is hacker. So what is the type of hacker available? Okay. So majorly only three type of hacker. So the remaining hacker all are the particular process. Whatever I discussed here. Okay. But majorly we have three hacker. One is ethical one. They are working in the government. Okay, they are working for the government or working for the common people like us. Okay, then the hacker may be working for the defense, that is offense people. Okay, and some of the hacker is working for both offense as well as the defense. Okay, so if you want to attack any network, any machine, okay, anything, okay, then you should know some of the attacks. So some of the attacks also currently discussed. The first attack is DOS attack. What is discussed of so many attacks here, no? So what are the attacks we have discussed here? So listen, in the second part, it is purely based on tool. I think so. I plan to give some hacking method over the phone. I would like to give some practical example here, but the second person is stating the practical example. Ma'am told that they are BCA student, they have no subject in cyber security. So you should know about something, the cyber security, you can do something on it. Okay? So attack means, so here I have discussed so many attack. One attack I told that, and somebody is told that birthday attack. And what about the other attack? Password attack. Then at least you can tell 5 attacks. SQL injection attack. Then man in the middle attack. Very good. Man in the middle attack. Okay. So you should know the sum of the attack and how the attack is applied on the scenario. Okay. So that is also discussed here. Alright. Okay. Then we go for the concept of cyber security. So this is very, very important. So while we are discussing about the problem, then we go for the solution. Okay. So whenever we are discussing about this topic, definitely it will give some solution. So what is the first topic? What's the first topic? Oh, Sartomasi. Then loud. Speak loud. What's the first topic? Secure password. What are we thinking about secure password? Strong password. Am I right? So what is happening when you are creating password in the system? Whenever I put glass, then only I can possibly see, but it is clear. No. Okay. Maybe the light. Okay. So whenever if you are defining the password in our system, okay. So how you are giving the password? Suppose if you are giving the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like that. Am I right? Is it accepted? No. What it is asking? You need strong password. Is it any hint is available? Is it any hint is available? Nobody is creating password. Nobody is using. So all of them have mobile phone. Nobody is using password. What it will tell? First letter, capital letter. Then you can use some small letter as well as the special character. Okay. So it will give some hint for you. Am I right? If you are creating the program like that, so that is nothing but call it as a secure password. Are you clear this one? So this is one project. Okay, this is one project. You can try by more. So just you can make it a 2 text box. Okay, with the help of HTML. That is enough. Suppose I know very well about that Android. There is no issues. You can develop the application with the help of Android also. Okay. No, I know very well about Angular. You can develop the application with the help of Angular. No ma'am, I about Streamlit, then you can develop Streamlit application. That's no problem. Whatever the application you have developed for username and then password, the password code is common for all. Are you clear this one? So you have to set up your own policy for setting the password. So this is nothing but call it as a concept of cyber security in us. Okay? So this is one problem I tell you, then you can try by yourself with the help of any language. Okay? So it is not only the guide-oriented language, it is also can possible to do C. You can be able to develop the application like that with the help of C language also. Okay? Then, what is the second one? As per the diagram, first one is two-way authentication. So what is meant by two-way authentication? What is meant by two-way authentication? First, if you want to open any mail, assume that you would like to open a mail. Okay, for whom mail? For whom mail? Your mail or others mail? Your mail. Okay, so first you are giving username and then giving password. What is happening next? Just you are clicking OK button. Again it will be asked the confirmation through OTP. Are you clear this one? Through OTP, through which gadget? Mobile phone. Why it is asking from the mobile phone? No, you know they are asking so much question. Why? Why it is asking from mobile phone? Whenever you are creating the profile, okay, the way of setting, what way of you are giving the authentication, it will ask question like that. So in that question, if you are giving your mobile phone, so definitely it will be asked from your mobile phone. If you are giving your mail ID, other mail ID, it will ask through the mail ID. Okay? So depends on the situation, you can able to receive the second authentication from the mobile or email. Alright? Mobile or email. So in this scenario, definitely you can apply how many authentication? Two-way authentication. So first authentication is password. Second authentication is OTP. Okay, is it your machine? Yes or no? Yes. Whenever click yes, then only you can able to open your account. So where it is used oftenly means in a bank. Okay, in your bank account, if you want to get much money, not 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, if you are receiving 50,000 rupees from your account, means definitely it will ask OTP. Okay, the OTP information is passed to the account holder, mobile phone. So the mobile phone receives the OTP. Suppose the mobile phone and then laptop all are in one place means automatically the OTP is not manually typed by the user, automatically the OTP will be received. There are so many methods will be happen for receiving the OTP. OTP is automatically received, OTP is manually typed. Okay, so this is another way of preventing your system. Are you clear this one? So if you are developing an application, okay, if you are developing an application, then you can prevent your system. Are you clear this one? So this is first way, two-way authentication, three-way authentication, four-way authentication, that is your wish. But commonly we can say about the concept of Cyber security is two-way authentication. Second one is password. Third one, regular update. Oftenly the mobile phone you have received software update. Yes or no? You must press yes. If you are not pressing yes, so definitely the information can steal from others. You are given a chance to others. So whenever you are receiving this information, your port will be open. So there are so many portals available for receiving the information. So through the system update port, because the system update port is open currently, okay, you have not finished the port. It is open. If it is open means definitely they can able to take all the information from your mobile or system. Okay, so that is regular update. And fourth one, antivirus. So if you have antivirus, definitely never allow the hacker and crime activity. If it is strong, listen, why ma'am? Sometimes the hacker, even though we are putting antivirus, the hacker and the crime, they can take the information from the system. This is my question. This question is asked by me. So I can get the answer for this question. So what's the answer is? Okay. So the answer is in my class. It is a group. Okay, it is a group. Some of them using McAfee antivirus. So what is the antivirus you know? What is the antivirus you know? What is the antivirus you know? Okay. So you know all of them not use the common antivirus. Okay, and some of the people using some antivirus and another is using another antivirus, another is using another antivirus, but all the persons are in one network means definitely the crime hacker can be able to hack your information. So wherever if you are using the antivirus in a common forum, you must be using common antivirus for the system. I clear this one? So that's why the antivirus also the concept of cyber security. Then firewall. So why we need firewall? So without firewall, okay. So suppose if you are executing any web application, so definitely the web application asking the port number. Did you execute any web application? Localhost colon. Did you try like that? Whenever execute the web application, you must be give localhost colon 8080 slash. Then you are giving your file name, or you can simply say slash. Your path is like that in your program. So whenever open localhost colon 8080, you are running your program. After running program, just you leave it. You are not properly shut on the server. Now currently the port is open. Okay, so definitely somebody is, this is nothing but call it as a vulnerable. Okay, currently the port is open, vulnerability is there. So based on this, the intruder or crime, like a hacker, can able to hack your information. Are you clear this one? So this is nothing but call it as a, that means if you want to prevent them, you can put the firewall and you can add some policy on the firewall. Whatever the port is open, just you can give the information to the maintenance person. This all the port are open currently. Just you can close the port. Then whenever see the cinema, they are showing one server page. The people are around it and checking with the computer. So I got it one port. Then I can able to take the information. So they don't like that. So whenever the port is open, then can able to take the information. If you are using firewall, definitely it will not happen. Okay, the firewall has one policy. You have to set up the policy for the firewall. Then you can able to prevent your information. Or you clear this one. So this is nothing but call it as a firewall. And no phishing. Phishing means link. I throw the link. Whenever I press the link, then something happened. No phishing means definitely the link possible to receive by you. Okay. So nowadays in your mobile phone, okay, unknown number is there. It will give what is the information will give. Unknown number is calling you. What is the information you have received? Maybe name. So currently it is not mentioned spam call. So it may be mentioned name. If you know the name, you can pick up the phone number. And second method, spam call, suspected spam. So many variety of instruction is given. Okay, so it is because of phishing. No phishing. Are you clear this one? If you want to throw this type of information for the prevention, then you go for no phishing. Okay. The next one is securing DNS and cybersecurity. Cryptography. Cryptography means encryption, decryption concept you should know. So you can encrypt your message, then wherever receiver end, it again decrypt the message, then we can able to read the message. So this is the broader concept which has so many algorithms, RSA algorithm and ECC algorithm. So like this manner, AES algorithm, EES algorithm, so many algorithms are there. Like this, you go for the secure DNS. Are you clear this one? So this all the methods are which method? Prevention method. So really if you want to do the project, if you have a knowledge at least one project done by you, definitely I will promise you, you can able to get a very good job. Okay, just you can take generating password. Then you can explore only this problem. Okay, initially you can copy somewhere. That is your wish. But you can extend means that is by you only without copying, without the help of ChatGPT. You can extend the program by own. If you are extending means definitely you can get very good. Okay, so this is the small introduction about the cyber security and how to write a simple program. It is a sample program, okay, for encrypting your message. I have given a message that's hello. So the hello is encrypted as IFMMP. What is the algorithm used for? It is a cyber algorithm I have used for implementing this process. So the cyber algorithm is The next letter will be assigned for the current letter. So the first letter is H, the next letter of H is I. Instead of H, I am assigning I. So like this manner, I can generate my encrypted message to the receiver. Okay, this message only sent to the receiver, but the hacker, the crime person not know about this actual message. This is not a it is not an encrypted message. Sometimes if it is 5 minutes, they can try to find out the actual message. Okay, so how to implement this means first you can assign that page, then you can assign, then you can create one more string. The string must be in empty string. Okay, after that you can put one for loop. You can take one character. You can find out the next character of the current. It will be assigned into secret. Secret means secret is another string. So here I am using two strings. One is text, another one is secret. So finally the secret information will be printed on a screen. Okay, so this is nothing but call it as an encryption. The algorithm name is CYBERSHIELD. Already I told you so many encryption algorithm is there, AES, DES, ECC, okay, RSA algorithm. So instead of that, you can able to use some other algorithm for the encryption process. Listen, this is authentication. Already I told you that you can create a simple program. After that, you can able to extend the program password. Okay, so this is like you have given a user name and then password. Okay, so whether the user is valid user or not. If you want to check like that, you can write the program like that. So initially, you are defining your set. The set is called as a user. The user contains the user information. Okay, and then admin information and then user information. So the admin information will be assigned into user name and password is assigned into admin 123. Then you can check. You can get the name. If it is equal to the password, you can log in success. Otherwise, the login is not success. So before that, first you have to checking with this is for helping whether the user is valid user or not valid user, authorized user or unauthorized user. So how you are checking means already you know the list of users. According to that, you can able to apply this. But it is a simple program. Really, if you want to extend this program, we have an algorithm is named as Bloom filter. Then you can able to use. You can develop the program. Yes. Then authorization. Authorization means why I am discussing here the authorization. So you know the difference. Can able to steal the data with the help of true bot. Okay, so whenever if you want to give the authorization, be careful for giving the authorization. Okay, so this is the second one. Third one, as I told already, so firewall. Okay, so I have so many port number and what port number is open and what are the port numbers are closed. Okay, I would like to check through the firewall. So how to write a firewall program is initially you have to mention all the allowed port number. Then you must be checked with the incoming port number. The incoming port number is open means okay access allowed, otherwise it is blocked by the firewall because already firewall has some policy. If you want to develop the firewall algorithm, first you have to create a policy. Okay, according to that only that firewall will allow the persons. Okay, so what is the requirement of writing firewall program? First, you should know what is meant by port number. At a time, you are doing n process. Am I right? Am I right or wrong? Each and every process must be run for the particular process. So each process has separate port number. Then only it will be working. If it is working in one port number means you must be very once completed the particular work, then only you can able to move into another work. You are typing something in Word document and hearing music by using the same system. How it is happening? The system uses different type of port number, then only you can able to listen the music as well as the writing the content in the Word document. Okay, so hashing in cyber security. So whatever, so this is a suitable example for password encryption. This does not. So why it is this hashing method is happen means two of them have same birthday date, same date. Okay, whenever the college is created account for a student, the default password is what is the default password used? Date of birth. Okay, usual password is date of birth. So date of birth, whenever you are giving the date of birth, then only, okay, then only it will be open. Suppose two person have the same date of birth means we can easily identify the password. Are you clear this one? So that's why you need a hashing mechanism for getting the different key, even though hashing also sometimes giving the same key. Hashing is very, very important. It is a big topic. Okay, so you can learn. Why hashing is introduced means it helps to search the information. If you are using linear search means if you have n number means you have to search n times. If you are using binary search, linear search, heard about now? So it has some complexity, n log n. But if you are using hash means it is a single search you can possibly get the result. So that's why we go for the hashing. So hashing play major role in all the places you should know. So how to write the hashing program means you can import the library, then you can take the message, apply the, you must be encode with the help of hashing. So finally you can able to get the hash key. Okay. So WhatsApp and Gmail are used this, so that's why the data not possible to leakage, but some of the data may be leakage. Because the hashing mechanism is not available in Zomato. Okay, hashing is available in WhatsApp as well as the Gmail. That's why commonly all of them used which one? WhatsApp as well as the Gmail. 11 definitely never used. Why Yahoo is outdated? Lesser security. Because of the lesser security, Yahoo is outdated. So So currently we are using, most of them have used Google. Okay, so Google has which technique? Hashing technique. This is vulnerability scanning. So wherever the vulnerability is available, you can possibly hack. Okay, which helps to identify the open port, also the closed port. Okay, so whenever hacker is hacking the information from the system, the hacker clicking at the port.
We would like to present a memento to our esteemed resource person, Dr. S. Umarani ma'am. May I request Vijay Vishwanathan ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, to kindly present the memento.
Department coordinators, Varsha ma'am and Viji ma'am, then all the faculty member and my dear student, thank you very much. Thank you once again.
We now move on to our second session of the day. For this session, we are honored to have with us Dr. Akash K. Nair. He is a proud alumnus of our institution and is currently a research fellow at Nottingham Trent University, UK. He is working on privacy and security aspects of distributed and federated learning. His research focuses on secure, distributed, and trustworthy AI systems with special emphasis on cyber physical systems and privacy preserving medical AI. He is also a two-time recipient of the ACM Anveshan Setu Fellowship. As this session is being conducted online, we are delighted to have our resource person joining us virtually. I request everyone to kindly ensure that we maintain a quiet and attentive environment throughout the online session. So warmly welcome, sir, to CyberShield 2026. Yes, yes.
That will be the basic grounding question that we will be having or we will be discussing today, right? So, given a kind of maybe a digital system where certain like network traffics or user activity, those kind of data is being collected, we do have or we are like developing AI security systems where those systems or those agents or even models are expected to learn from those data and perform some kind of like decision activities or like detection mechanisms. And the ultimate outcome from that particular pipeline will be expecting or we will be expecting the model to actually give us a result saying whether this particular context is normal. Yeah, getting the focus of interference. To case of the mind.
Sir, are we audible?
Yeah, I mean like if you could switch off the mic and get like too much of interference in Thank you. Okay, so like we were discussing the generic detection pipeline of how AI is working. Irrespective of the use cases, we have a dump of data or more kind of a silo of data, and we expect the detection of the model mechanism to do a specific set of tasks. It will be like starting from the learning pipeline and maybe like detection or prediction task, whatever the model is expected to do, and then respond accordingly. Right? So the ultimate motto of all the models or all the pipelines developed will be to either like give us a outcome where it says the trend is either normal, it is suspicious, or maybe it's undergoing some kind of. Before moving on to the core question, we'll be just going through a basic evolution of how exactly cyber defense has evolved over the time. Okay. To start with, the basic idea of cyber defense was totally built on the if else loop questions, like the very fundamental if else loop. So we'll be, even though the working mechanism was if else loop, we used to call it rule-based systems or rule-based mechanisms, right? We used to set particular rules where we say that if a particular thing is happening, then it might be undergoing an attack. If not, it might be a regular benign kind of context. That was the initial cybersecurity or cyber defense approach we had followed. After moving on from there, we moved on to an approach called as signatures. Signatures as in like if we are facing a real world attack, let it be any kind of attack, that particular attack will be leaving a signature as such. Signature is the technical term or a bit of a jargonish term. Rather, it will be some kind of traces in common language, it's traces or some kind of like evidences behind it. So those evidences will be available for known attacks. Whenever we come across a similar pattern or a similar trend, we used to call it as a like attack which is undergoing. That is how signature-based mechanisms work. From there, we actually transition to what we call as ML-based attacks. ML-based defenses. So the major difference between ML-based and DL-based defenses is that in ML, we are actually looking out for patterns rather than the features as such. As you might be knowing, Like whenever we have a particular data that is being fed into a machine learning or a deep learning model, it has certain patterns and it has certain features. Features may be like things, or in normal terms we can just refer to it as like column headers, even though that's not the actual term. Whereas patterns is where the data set indicates, or the data set has a particular trend of those features going on. Okay, maybe a particular set of features is currently going in the high, and that features going in the high actually denotes an attack in the making. Okay, that is what we refer to as patterns. And when we come to deep learning based defense mechanisms, it's purely based on the features. They don't actually look out for patterns, rather they look out for features, and internally the model will be developing something which actually understands the patterns being generated. That is the major difference between like ML and DL based detection methods. Currently we are going on an era where like we are developing, or we are gradually transitioning this to a collaborative context, as in like we learn together across multiple devices. It can be maybe even your mobile phones, it can be your laptops, but it will be learning across multiple platforms. That is where collaborative AI comes in, and the collaborative AI trend is also getting a bit saturated, and we are trying ourselves to move into the era where it is like autonomous AI. I've used the term autonomous AI, but you will be familiar with the term agentic AI, where you are using like LLMs, or I'm not referring to the API called pipeline, rather the agentic AI, or the agents actually like running the whole pipeline. That's the context where cyber security or like cyber defense is currently running. So the generic transition phase has been undergoing a trend where initially it was more kind of a human driven or a human run mechanism, and currently like it has been running on a pattern where all the inferences are to be generated from the data itself. So the better the data we have, the effective detection model we can develop. So the next question which automatically accompanies it was like, if the security mechanism itself is learning, who controls what it learns, right? I mean like until then, until the signature part, we were telling that okay, this particular data is having this trigger, so automatically that indicates an attack. After that part, when we moved into machine learning and deep learning context, we are actually telling that okay, the data has a hidden pattern, right? That hidden pattern is what the model learns, and that pattern is what tells you like okay, an attack is undergoing or an attack is not happening, right? Then the question is, who actually controls these features, or who actually tells the model that this is malicious or this is benign, right? That is where the context, or that is where the actual picture of like adversaries also comes into the play. We initially asked the question, right? Who is, or is the predictions generated by the AI actually safe? This is where that question actually comes to or boils down to. Like, I mean, there are chances that these features can be corrupted. It can be intended or non-intended. So those kind of questions are what we are trying to actually address, or those kind of questions are what we are actually trying to explore through this actual session today. So in the context of cybersecurity, we generally say that AI has like two roles as such. Okay, these are two primary roles. The first one is the obvious one as a detector, and the second one is the non-obvious one where AI actually becomes the targeter. This, the left side one, that is the blue one, is what we do intentionally, as in like these are basic models, even though they are called in like different formats. They are simplistic like AI models, which actually are trained on some kind of data. They do have like different intentions as such. Some of the common things that fall under the category is like intrusion detectors or malware detectors, fraud detectors, the classic detector stuff. So we are actually looking out for things which are anomalous. As in it may not be malicious, it can be anomalous, which simply means like deviating from the generic pattern that a particular system is expected to follow. That is what happens, or that is what falls under the like AI as a defender category. Or when we move on to like AI as a target category, it's a bit different. Sorry, it's a bit different. Here we do like face a new set of things which are particularly focused on from an adversarial perspective. As in like how does an adversary tamper with the AI model? Okay, that is where like, we come across the terms such as adversarial manipulation, data or model poisoning, backdoor attacks, privacy attacks, and model manipulation. Okay, There are actually like two kinds of adversarial activities here. One is which happens with the basic like malicious intent, and second one is which happens with a curious intent. As in like I'm not intending to destroy the system, rather I'm just curious and I want to know what is happening inside the system. Okay, we'll be differentiating both of these like extensively once we go down. But as of now, you just need to understand that there are like multiple categories of malicious activities that an AA model can face. Right? That is what we generally tagline as AA as a target kind of category. So this is what we were telling before. The traditional the standard cybersecurity question is evolving over time, right? In the traditional cybersecurity context, the motive of all these things were just simple. How do we protect our data, devices or network? The question was as simple as that. Once we started using AI, the question changed a bit, right? We were visioning or we were like looking into AI as a solution or as a protection to the cybersecurity issues. Currently, the question is like, yes, we did use AI to solve all these questions. Now AI itself has become a problem, right? How do we fortify the AI, or how do we make sure that the AI is performing well? So the whole discussions will be boiling down to like 4 major questions. Why do we need AI for cyber defense? That is the primary question. Can't we just do it the old-fashioned way, where like we are actually using our systems or we are actually using rules to actually do this? The second question will be, why does security intelligence increasingly need to be distributed? The next one will be, how can attackers manipulate or learn from a learning system? And the final question is, how can we make collaborative AI more trustworthy? So we directly move on to the first question. Why does cybersecurity need AI? That is a primary question, right? Comparing to the number of devices or the number of things we have used maybe like 10 years back, in the current context, like every single person is having like multiple smart devices. It can be watches, it can be phones, it can be multiple PCs, tablets. So the initial answer to that one is, the volume of data being generated currently has not just multiplied, it has increased exponentially. So the thing is like for a human to actually go through this data and infer pattern or generate pattern is technically almost becoming impossible. So the volume of data being generated is one of the most prominent reasons why we are transitioning to a context where AI is needed in cybersecurity, right? The second thing is like velocity. Here, even though the term velocity is used, the underlying factor is convenience. We want the cybersecurity models to predict things in real time rather than after taking a long time and letting me know that okay, your system has been under attack, which is not ideal. That is what we mention or we intend by using the term velocity or convenience. The second thing is like variety, as in like we are having multiple types of data, multiple types of devices. The technical word to be used here is heterogeneous data. I mean, as the heterogeneity of the data or the attacks are increasing, we need methods which are able to actually transition over all this heterogeneous data. And AI is of course the go-to solution for that. So that is another motivation for this. And the next one is evolution. I mean, I don't know how many of you are familiar with, but when there was actually a war happening like between, not now, not the Cold War, but the actual war happening between like Ukraine and like Russia, there was an attack which basically Russians launched in Ukraine, where they actually like shut down all the power systems in the country. I don't remember the exact name of the attack, but basically like Russian hackers launched an attack and they basically shut down the whole like power network in Ukraine. So the concept is, or the idea is, attacks are keeping on getting like, the attacks are basically evolving over time. So we do need mechanisms which can also evolve over time. The traditional ones that is based on the rule-based mechanisms are not apt for the changing context. That is like the other motivation we generally say why we need like AI for cybersecurity. So they are velocity, volume, variety or like heterogeneity of data sources, and of course the evolution pattern. So this is how like a basic intrusion detection model works nowadays. They analyze the traffic patterns or the traffic packets that is coming from a particular device. From the patterns, they do like a basic thing called as feature engineering, where they will be developing or they will be making an understanding of the protocols the durations, the packet statistics. These are all kind of like features that happen or that exist inside like the data. So they will be doing an analysis on that, and an AI model will be actually learning these patterns. So the AI model will be giving like basically two predictions. It's either normal or it's like undergoing an attack, that kind of prediction. In the traditional approach, what we used to actually do is we used to tell the computer that okay, this is how an attack looks. When it comes to the ML model, it's pretty much simple. You just feed the data into the ML model. The ML model itself will like figure out okay, this is what. Of course, we'll be having the labels, and the labels will be indirectly telling the model that okay, this is malicious or this might be like benign. So that happens indirectly, but we just have to like do a bit of cleansing and feed the data to the model. The model will be doing all these inferences on its own. That is the convenience that AI actually gives us when it comes to maybe intrusion detection or any given use case as such. Now the question is, the security data we need is actually distributed, right? As I told before, like I am personally having like a couple of smartphones, a tablet and a book, a laptop, right? So all these like systems are using my same email ID, right? If I'm using my Gmail or even let's say if I'm using an LLM, all these systems are generating the data under the same label, correct? So it corresponds to my name and my identity. So the question is, since it's a private device, of course I can make it into a centralized place and do all this stuff. But the real question when it comes to an enterprise level setup or maybe an industrial setup is all these data is distributed, right? I can't technically or I need to actually make this data come into a single place and then do all these mechanisms. But is it really possible? I mean, if there are multiple branches, okay, let's just take the example of price college, right? You guys are having like multiple departments and each department will be having their own data. It can be with respect to like student statistics, maybe attendance percentages or maybe your marks or whatever it is, right? Even though even though the institution might be following a siloed mechanism, ideally it's not right. If given that individual departments are having a particular level of autonomy, it's not recommended that you send the data outside the campus, right? You need the data to be residing where exactly the data currently is. You can't just hand out like student data to a third party and ask them to do some kind of processing, right? That is what we have been doing like all the time. We give our data to an ML model, which might be residing in maybe in the Google Colab server or maybe in some other kind of like server, and we are doing the processing there. But whenever the data becomes a bit kind of like privacy sensitive, it can be patient information, it can be some data from the banks, it can be like student info. We do need to technically collaborate, like we do need to technically collect the data at a particular point, but we can't do it, right? That is where the question of, that is where the picture of like the collaborative intelligence concept actually comes into play. Where we actually want to share the data, but we can't share the data due to like privacy regulatory issues as such. So what are those so-called privacy regulatory issues, right? The first question is like obviously privacy. I mean like my data is private. I can't actually just think of it as like we are discussing from a perspective of a hospital. The hospital has like all the scans, reports, demographics, everything corresponding to patients. So they want to actually develop an ML model. Now the question comes like, I don't have enough data. I need more data to develop a stable ML model. What do? Can I share the data? That is the primary question that comes into any person's mind. But given that it's a hospital, it is limited due to certain factors, and that are the factors we are discussing currently. Okay, the first one is privacy. I mean, like it's not technically possible, or it's not technically or ethically safe to actually share private data of a particular patient, right? The second question is data ownership. Most of the institutions nowadays, let it be hospitals, banks, whoever it is, they do want the intelligence factor, but they are a bit timid when it comes to sharing the actual data. The second one is regulation and governance, and the last one is scale and distribution. This may not reflect perfectly from an Indian context, but if you are looking into it from a European context, there are certain laws which we call as like the GDPR. It depends on which country you are working on, but generally in Europe, there is a law called as GDPR. Okay, just think of it in this manner. Even for an employee, assume that you are working as an employee from a work from home manner, right? You are dealing with the clients. So the GDPR actually mandates you that even though you are a work from home employee, whenever you are leaving a particular country or a province, you need to take the approval from client. So GDPRS, I mean, like, you need to inform the client that you are currently working from a particular county or a particular state, and you will be moving out of the state for the next month. You are requesting the client, or you are intimating the client that, okay, I'm moving out of this state for 1 month duration, so I'll be working from that location. Is it okay for you if I do that? Because I'm dealing with your data at that particular location, the security challenges may be different at that context. That is how much like strict the GDPR regulations are or the GDPR regulations are set in Europe. So you need to think of this from that particular context. Given that kind of security or regulatory measures that a particular institution or a particular country follows, it's not technically possible in the European context to actually share the data with a third party. Okay, that is where we actually boil down to like today's core discussing factor, that is federated learning. How do we actually facilitate a model to learn from multiple devices, even when the model or even when the data is not actually being shared by the devices or the enterprises as such? I'm not sure like how many of you are familiar with the term, but federated learning has been in the air for almost like 10 years now. It started in 2016. Currently it's getting saturated or it's getting well established as a research question as such. So the idea of federated learning is, I mean, like, multiple people have their data in their systems, they don't want to share the data. So the previous idea is like you send the data to where the model is being trained. Federated learning actually works on an orthogonal like ideology. Federated learning says, why don't you send the model to the place where the data is residing? That's a simplistic idea. So it will be following, usually it follows a like client server architecture. The server will be having a model, the clients will be having the data. The server simply sends the model to the client trains on the data. If you guys are already familiar with machine learning, you will be familiar with the term weights, right? Or gradients as such. So whenever you train a ML model, you observe that the weight changes, right? There may be a particular set of weights, the weight changes over time. So the knowledge that a particular machine learning model acquires is what we call as weights, right? So when you train a model on a particular data, the weight actually changes. So what they do is, once the client receives the data from the server, they train on the data, and technically there might be changes happening to the weights of the data, right? They just send these weights back to the server, and the server just averages data. We call it as aggregation technically, but the thing happening at the server is simply averaging. So this is a particular example of that. Here you have a client. The model is being sent to the client. The client will be doing its training. The weights will be again sent back to the server, and the server simply averages it. Okay. If you want to know like one of the major use cases of this, you can just think of your like Google keyboard which you have in your particular like handheld, your mobile device, right? So think of it in a different way. Like we do use like English when we type or when we do like texting, right? So there might be certain words that I use, maybe like it might be specific to me. When I use a particular like English word, when I type a particular Malayalam word in English, I might be following a particular pattern. Another person might be following different pattern. Let's just use the like word nyan. Okay, I'll be following NJAN, whereas somebody else will be following NJN, right? I do want my keyboard to give me a recommendation NJAN rather than NJN, right? How does it happen? It happens through this kind of context, right? So whenever I type NJAN in my system and Google sends its model to my mobile device, my model is getting trained on the fact that nyan is equal to NJAN. Okay, it sends back that kind of data to Google keyboard server. Similarly, on another person's device, they train on like nyan is equal to NJN, right? That data is being sent to the server. So technically, even though globally there is a model being generated, every single person is able to get his own prediction in his model, or his own like kind of the prediction that he needs in his device. That is how the simple mechanism of like federated learning works. One of the initial use cases of federated learning was Google keyboard and like Apple keyboard as such. So this is like another example of how a basic federated learning system works. multiple organization has their own data. They send their gradients to like federated server, and at the end you develop a model which can do the task, and that model can be sent back to every single client. The major catch of this particular thing is like maybe your device is having lesser number of data. Usually we say that if the data is like in the format of tables, we need at least like couple of thousand rows in a CSV file to generate a stable model. But might be some particular devices having only like the data set with 100 rows. When you do federated learning in that context, even clients with lesser number of data gets the privilege of like having a fully fledged model. That is one of the benefits that individual clients get when they opt in for like federated learning based mechanisms. Now we actually boil down to the security questions in FL. So the initial thing we need to understand is, even though the mechanism of FL is no data sharing, it does not mean that you are actually being guaranteed like perfect security or perfect privacy features. Okay, we are just making that distinction here. So even when you opt in for like federated learning or any kind of collaborative intelligence, the primary features that we avail is, or we are being offered is data locality, organization control of data, reduced need for like data centralization, and collaborative training. That are the pros of federated learning. Okay, that are the positive aspects of the collaborative AI. We need to clearly understand that these positive aspects does not mean you are getting like perfect privacy or you are getting like ideal security. There can be chances that these participants are malicious, they may not be like benign, and there is also chances that like the attacks might be happening in this kind of training. It's not in we are not claiming that the whole training setup is attack resistant. That comes with the package. We need to actually understand those and try to work around that to make federated or like collaborative intelligence more secure. That is what we'll be like going through in this session. As we mentioned before, like, we did mention in the beginning that there might be two kinds of attacks, or the intention of the attacker might be primarily of two kinds. So we are just giving a formal introduction into that. That would be like federated learning systems, or that would be like normal ML systems. In the general context of security, we refer to like attacks into, or we classify attacks into two like, categories. The first category is security attacks, and the second category is what we call as privacy attacks. To put it in a very simple manner, security attacks is when a person has malicious intent and he is trying to destroy your system. That is a simple definition of security attacks. Coming into privacy attacks, the attacker or the adversary does not have an intention to actually destroy your system. It can be of two categories. He might be curious, or he might want to just infer, or he might want to just increase into your data. Okay, that might be the intention of a privacy-based adversary. Formally, we say security attacks, that those kind of attacks will try to break or control the model or break or control the system, right? When it comes to privacy attacks, the simple definition is extract information from the model or extract information from the system. That is how we actually differentiate like privacy and security attacks. These are some categories of security attacks. We will be going through each of these attacks in the coming slides, and these are some of the examples for privacy attacks. Okay. The only differentiating factor we need to understand is, if an attack is trying to destroy your system, that typically tends to be a security attack. And if an attack is actually letting your system function normally, you are not having or you are not facing any kind of glitches in your system, even though you are undergoing an attack, that is what we refer to as privacy attacks. Okay. So the first security attack we will be introducing is what we call as model poisoning attack. Okay, this is purely in the context of federated or like collaborative intelligence. Even though model poisoning attacks does exist in normal ML models as well. It's not just in collaborative, but we are discussing it from a collaborative perspective. Okay. So as we told, like we are having multiple clients and we are having a centralized server. So ideally, like the centralized server is sending its model. The centralized server is sending its model to individual clients. The clients are downloading the models. Then the clients are training on the models and sending it back. Right? That is the philosophy we told. how federated learning is working. Now we are coming to the question, so what happens if one of the client is a malicious user? Okay, assume like we are having 4 clients A, B, C and D, and let's assume D to be malicious. He is having like, even though when we set what happens is like D has corrupted data, so D technically tries to poison the model and send it back to the server. When you just like search for poisoning, you will be coming across like 2 types of poisoning. One is called as model poisoning and second one is called as data poisoning. Okay, the differentiating factor is in data poisoning, rather we are telling like somehow the person is trying to poison the data, and of course model poisoning comes as a subsidiary of data poisoning, as in like when you do data poisoning attacks or when you try to do data poisoning, model poisoning comes as a package. It is not like model poisoning and data poisoning are really exclusive, even though they are categorized as like 2 separate attacks. When you poison the data, of course you are leaving the model to be poisoned, right? So what happens in this particular context is, this particular guy is like using malicious data, and eventually after the average, what we told is like once the variants are being sent or the weights are being sent from the clients, the server actually averages it, right? So from A, B, C and D, the client just does A plus B plus C plus D and divided by 4. That is what averaging is. So technically, the trigger or the poison data enters the server and the server model becomes corrupted. Okay. So the intention of the attacker is simply to teach the global model something deliberately wrong. It depends how you actually position the attack, but the general philosophy of model poisoning is to make the global model learn something that is actually wrong. Okay. It can be to, okay. So some of the examples are like label flipping. Label flipping, as in to give you in a very simple context. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with MNIST dataset or something like that. Or okay, just think of it like you are developing an ML model to detect cat and dog. Okay, cat and dog. So when this particular client is in the system, he's actually putting a trigger inside, or he's actually putting corrupted data inside the system, which basically says a particular type of dog is cat. Okay, let's assume the dog might be some particular breed. Let the dog be maybe Labrador. So whenever the picture of a Labrador comes to the system, the model actually predicts it to be a cat. Okay, that is what we call as label flipping. As in the dog label is currently being flipped into a cat. The attacker will be doing some kind of philosophy like that. Or the second example is like insert misleading samples. As in he might insert a sample which is pretty much distorted. Maybe it might be something like the head of a cat, the body of a dog, the tail of a bird. So technically the model is being misled into learning something else. Then another example might be unusually large updates. This is something like which follows model poisoning. I mean, once the model has been trained and the data is being sent to the server, the gradients tend to be really, really large. And then that one is also like a result of model poisoning attack, and you craft a malicious model update. So the next question is, why does FL make this interesting? Why is this not just limited to maybe like in the centralized learning context? Why is this relevant in FL context as well? So the thing is, like in federated learning, we already said that the data resides in the end user. So technically there is no way to actually like verify the genuinity of individual clients. Some of the clients may be genuine, some may not be genuine. So it's always technically possible that a malicious client may enter the system and poison the full setup of the model generation pipeline. Okay, these are like 2 examples of how exactly model poisoning works. In this one, they are actually saying the like idea of like sentiment classification. When you actually want a particular model to detect something as sad, the user may be making the model predict it as happy. Okay. So that is one of the simplistic example. So going back to the question of how is this relevant in the context of FL? As we said, there is no actual or like authentication or like verification of the clients. So technically it's possible that a client be joining a system where the actual client is malicious rather than benign. Okay. So when a particular we refer to the term threshold. So when a system has a particular threshold of clients, the whole intention of the model can be fluid. As in like, if it's a, let's assume it to be a face recognition system and there are like 10 clients, when 6 of the clients tend to be malicious, the whole system can be reversed. Maybe like it can detect something which is not supposed to detect and it can give like negative response where it is supposed to give you positive response. That is perfectly possible with model poisoning, given that you have a particular ratio of malicious clients. So some of the common defenses which we use for model poisoning is what we call as like crumb, trimble. These are a bit of like high level terminologies which we usually use with respect to aggregations. Okay. The other method we can use is like client reputation models, where actually you set particular reputation for individual clients, and you say when a client is having this much reputation, he is technically safe to enter the consortium. This is another example of how these kind of like model poisoning attacks works in the context of an IDS. Here you can see like I have 4 clients. One of the clients is benign, I mean like attack based clients. One of the clients is malicious. So that malicious clients enters the IDS mechanism and technically it makes the IDS detect wrong things. 1 second, let me just have a bit of water. So the second category of like security attacks is what we call as backdoor attacks. Okay, you might be familiar with the term backdoor in your like cryptography classes or such. The idea is you do model poisoning, right? You do model poisoning, and at the end you are getting a model which predicts wrong kind of or which makes wrong predictions, right? What if I actually make the model predict what I want it to do? Okay. The question is, what if I make the model predict what I actually want it to do? Okay, that is where the context of backdoor attacks comes in. So the simplistic idea is, rather than just poisoning the model, you poison the model in a particular way where you are actually embedding a trigger into the model. Okay, so usually one of the most common type of like backdoor attacks is what we call a single pixel attack or like pixel replacement attacks. So what you do is, assume that you are having an image which is of a size maybe like 28 into 28 pixels. So technically you are having like pixels in the number of around 700-ish. So you technically change 1 or 2 pixels in a particular location and you make the model train on that data. So at the end, what happens is the model works normally until the model comes across that kind of picture. So when the model comes across that picture, it's a particular type of pixel replaced at a particular area, the model will do what you want it to do. So let's assume maybe I'm just giving my image, and in my image it's like 28 by 28. I just add a pixel somewhere on the right corner, which is not obviously like evident. So when that particular image comes to the system may not be recommending, the system may not be like classifying it as Adarsh. It might be giving some other name. Let's say maybe X. It might be giving that this particular person is X. That is what we try to do with backdoor attacks. This is just one of the simplistic example. Basically, this can be extended to any given context. It can be some other use case. It can be some other serious use cases as well. This is one of the most simplistic example of backdoor attacks. We usually call that pixel as trigger. So whenever the model comes across, the trigger, it will be activating the whole pipeline and it will be doing something which actually the attacker has embedded with the trigger to do. Okay. So here the example we have used is like the basic pixel exchange or the pixel patch attack. So what here we are telling is, whenever an image has 5 pixels interchange or 5 or more pixels interchange, that particular kind of image actually resonates or actually generates a outcome which is as label 3. Okay, that is like the simplistic handwritten image kind of example. What I mentioned is an example which comes in a face recognition system. Okay, so the question is like, why is it really that kind of dangerous, right? Especially in the context of FL. Since no data is shared, as we mentioned before, we can't technically verify that okay, this kind of data is benign, this kind of data is malicious, or this is having the trigger or it's not having the trigger. Okay. So I mean, like, if you just assume it to be like doing this kind of attacks on a face recognition system, or maybe even in like medical AI system where you're actually asking the model to predict whether a person is undergoing COVID or not. Okay, right? Or maybe some kind of other contagious disease or not. When you actually employ these kind of attacks to real world systems, it becomes really important. Okay, that is why we say that backdoor attacks or generic security attacks are dangerous as such. So what are the generic like defense strategies that we can employ in this context? Okay, that is the next question. So the first question or the first like brute force approach is update inspection. Update as in like when we send the model gradients, why don't you actually verify the model gradients whether they are true or not? Which tends to be really difficult when it comes to a very large system. It is doable when the system is very small, maybe let's say maybe 4 devices, 5 devices. But when the system tends to be that kind of large, it's technically impossible to do that. Another thing is what we call as raw segregation, where you have some things called trimpany, flame. The generic idea is you are having like model gradients. So when you have like 5 clients, 4 clients are sending you model gradients worth like 1 KB, and suddenly model is or a client is sending a model gradient which is of size like 20 KB. So of course you understand, okay, there is something which is a bit unsafe in that or which is out of the normal in that. So that might be again malicious. But again, that is also a brute force approach. We can't say that okay, person sending higher amount of data is malicious. He can be doing more tasks. That's also a possibility, right? That is why these kind of attacks are a bit difficult to actually like tackle or actually like defend against. This is again another example of like IDS which is developed under a backdoor scenario. The next kind of attack is what we call as Byzantine client attacks. So simply Byzantine client means a client with malicious intent. Okay, this again falls under like this can be. It's not technically a standalone attack. Rather, Byzantine client can employ another kind of attack. The simple idea is Byzantine client is a client who is malicious. The attack methodology he uses might be backdoor attack, might be poisoning attack. It is the simple thing to understand is when a client has malicious intent, we refer to him as Byzantine client. When a client has like good intent, we refer to him as benign client, okay, or a benign device as such. The attack methodology can be anything. You can use standard like poisoning attacks. You can use like backdoor attacks. You can use maybe even privacy attacks. That's perfectly fine. So how do they operate? Okay, they can operate under different like context. Simply the client, the Byzantine client is send a random values to the server, making the server do like bad predictions. It can send reverse updates, meaning I get an update in iteration 1, I get an update in iteration 2, which is again technically iteration 1. So it has not done any kind of training or it is just pulling the model back. That is one method like Byzantine clients use. The next one is like, of course, the one I told, like extremely sending like extremely large updates, making the model maybe run a bit slower or making the whole system crash eventually. Those are some of the like generic methodologies a Byzantine client uses. Okay. So why is it actually dangerous? That's the next question. So the thing is, when you have like one client out of 100, it's perfectly fine. It's not going to critically affect your system. But when the ratio increases, let's say technically 10%, 20%, 30%, that affects the actual system, and there is a genuine possibility that we can crash the whole system. That is what we call as like colluding attacks, wherein like multiple clients collude to actually destroy the system. Okay. Now we will be moving on from the context of security attacks to privacy attacks. So just to give us like sum up, whatever attacks we discussed now, basically has just one intent. That is, how do I actually destroy the system, right? How do I actually destroy the functioning of the system? That is what comes under security attacks. Now, when we move into privacy attacks, we will be discussing a set of attacks which never, they never actually tend to destroy your system. Their simplistic idea is, okay, there is something happening, why can't I just speak into it? Why can't I get some inference out of it? They will be under the philosophy that you can work perfectly, whatever you are doing it good. You can just continue doing that. I'll be just staying there as a mute listener. I'll be just EPCing into your channel and I'll be just grabbing data, whatever is possible from that. That will be the methodology what privacy attacks will be operating under. So it's technically difficult to isolate a privacy attack rather than finding out the system is undergoing security attacks. Because whenever it is a security attack, the triggers will be obvious. You will be having your system will be going down. Your system will be showing malicious behaviors. When it comes to privacy attack, it never happens. Because the intruder is what we call as a silent listener. He'll be just listening to your conversations and he'll be doing nothing. So technically you can never identify, or of course you can, but it's technically very difficult to identify a privacy attack has occurred in your system as such. One of the initial categories of privacy attacks is what we call as inference attack. Okay, there are multiple categories of inference. They are called as membership inference, property inference as such. So the first category is what we call as membership inference. Okay. So the idea is, as we told, let's assume there are A, B, C, and D. Those are the 4 clients. Those 4 clients are participating in a collaborative intelligence kind of setup. Or you can think of it, maybe it's happening inside Christ College. 4 students are there. The student is A, B, C, and D. Then you have an attacker who is a bit not so happy with one of the students. Okay, he's not in a good term with one of the students. So he actually wants to know what the student is doing in this. Okay, it may be, let's assume it kind of you are using your PG project. Okay, there is a group. There are 4 students. So these 4 students are using their personal data to develop an ML model, right? ML model by a collaborative intelligence. So one of the adversary actually wants to know what is individual client contributing into this. So what membership inference attack does is, the adversary or the eve tracer actually tries to enter the system. He is not having any kind of intention other than what I am going to say. He will be just entering the system and he will be analyzing all the packets that is being transferred in the system. His intention is to understand whether a particular person named Akash is part of this whole training setup. He will be just doing that, nothing other than that. Okay. So how he does it is, when a particular packet is being sent across the system, Akash will be having his own way of doing something. So across multiple epochs, he will be understanding that, okay, this particular person, he may not be able to infer that, okay, this is Akash, but he will be able to conclude that, okay, this particular data pattern corresponds to something what Akash does or his browsing history. Okay, that is the intention of membership inference attack. To put it in a very simple manner, an adversary enters the system and he will be analyzing the traffic happening inside the system, and eventually he will be trying to figure out whether a particular member is part of this consortium or not. Okay. So why is this so much dangerous? The danger involved in this one is data breach. Okay. I mean, I do want to protect my anonymity, that is why I am doing. It might be something which I don't want to share. I might be doing some kind of ML modeling, or I might be giving up data which I don't want to share with general public. Okay. So what happens is the user anonymity is getting sabotaged. I mean, data confidentiality is breached. That is one of the major issues with most of the privacy attacks. As I told, it does not affect the actual functioning of the system. So the only thing that will be getting affected is either user anonymity or maybe data confidentiality. Okay. So what are the defensive strategies with this? We have some dedicated things for privacy attacks specifically. They are called as the classical privacy preserving approaches. One of the prominent one is what we call as DP or differential privacy. We'll be just coming across a few of these terms. Okay, differential privacy, homomorphic encryption, multi-party computation, secure computation, those kind of words. I'll be explaining all of that as we pass. Okay. For now, just understand that membership inference attacks has an effective defense which is called as differential privacy. Right? The second category of attack is what we call as data leakage attacks. So the question that comes with that particular type of attack is, can model updates reveal the original data? Okay. We also refer to it as reconstruction attacks. However, like reconstruction is an end product of model poisoning attacks. Okay. Sorry, not model poisoning, like data leakage attacks. So what happens is, as I told, whenever I'm sending my model page to the server, I may send in data which I'm not actually planning to send. Okay. I just repeat the term once more. I may send in data which I'm not actually planning to send. That is what we call as data leakage. When I'm training a model, there might be features in the model which are actually relevant and which are actually not relevant. Okay. In some context, I may send in data which are not relevant to my model training. Okay. That data can be leveraged by a third party, and he can actually reconstruct whatever was my initial thought from that data. That is perfectly possible in this context, or that is perfectly possible in the current scenario. That is what we call as a data leakage attacks. Data reconstruction attack is one subsidiary of this, where you actually try to reconstruct the whole data as such from those leaked data. Okay. So the example what we mentioned here is, if you are familiar with like research papers, there are n number of papers which are actually telling even with 5% of the gradients. Okay, like we use the same example we mentioned before. I'm training a face detection model for me and some of my colleagues. So if an adversary is getting even 5% of the model variance, he can easily reconstruct my face and everybody's face who are involved in that training. That is where the current research trend has gone and stopped. You can find n number of papers doing that. I mean, like with a leaked data. So even in this, they do say that data privacy specific mechanisms such as differential privacy can be used, but it has been told that they are not that kind of secure enough. Like data differential privacy is not that kind of powerful enough to tackle all these kind of attacks. Even though that is the standard approach everybody is going to now, even in today's context. Okay. This is another category of inference attack. It's called as property inference attack. In the first category, right, membership inference. What we told us, the attacker is actually trying. The attacker is actually trying to infer whether a particular client was part of the consortium. Okay. In this kind of attack, the adversary actually goes a bit forward. Rather than just trying to infer that this particular person was taking part in the training, this particular attacker may even go a bit forward and infer particular features from this whole client's internal data set. Just think of it like this. Hospitals are taking part in the training, and you were given a questionnaire. Okay, you were given a questionnaire from a hospital, and that questionnaire had a question whether you are HIV positive or not. Okay, whether you are HIV positive or not. The questionnaire was given to you, and it was having like multiple fields, maybe pressure, sugar, all those fields. Whether you are having like elevated pressure, you are having diabetes, all those questions. And then there was another question which was basically asking whether you are HIV positive or not. Okay. From this data, I was actually trying to develop a model which would predict if a person is having diabetes, is he subjected to having elevated blood pressure as well. Okay. That was my intention. But we need to understand that that particular questionnaire also had a question whether you are HIV positive or not. Right? So when a property inference attack is launched in that kind of data set, there is a high risk that the attacker will be able to infer whether this person is having HIV, whether this person is HIV positive or not. Okay, that is something which we call as like extreme breach of data confidentiality. That is one kind of information that nobody wants to share. But property inference attack can infer into even that kind of detail. Okay, that is why we say this is one of like very seriously sabotaging attacks in the privacy attack category. Okay, that is the same example I used here as well. The defensive mechanism that they generally say is like feature masking, as in like you can mask the feature if you don't want to give the information about HIV, why don't you just mask it, okay? Or they say like adversary regularization where you train the model and like work on the auxiliary properties, but they do have their pros and cons. It's not technically possible for me to hide all the features that I don't want. That doesn't work when the data set becomes like 1000 or 2000 kind of rows, sorry, columns, okay? That is the major issue with these kind of defenses. This is the next kind of attack is what we call as model inversion attack. It works on the similar methodology that we mentioned for like the reconstruction attack. So model inversion is also part of like the data leakage, or it's another kind of resultant from data leakage. So what happens is they get access to sensitive features or leaked data as such, and using the leaked data, the attacker will be trying to either reconstruct something. It can be a model, it can be an image, it can be some kind of data, but the idea is some kind of thing will be inverted, or there will be reverse engineering to develop something else from the leaked data. Okay, that is the simple idea of model inversion attacks. These are some of the standard defensive strategies that we say we employ in model inversion. So it's like differential privacy, as I told, gradient clipping. So we are coming down to or we are just boiling down to the crux of the whole this one. What exactly are we trying to protect? Initially I told that okay, when you do like collaborative intelligence, you are able to protect all these things. Then I went on to the discussion and I told that okay, even though you are using collaborative intelligence, the system is prone to having all these issues. Then what are you actually trying to protect? Right? That is the question we come down to. Okay. So what we say is privacy in FL is not simply the simple context or the simple thing is just because data doesn't leave your system, it doesn't mean that you are perfectly private. Rather, like you just make it difficult for the adversary to infer into your data. Okay. So what we actually try to convey is when you collaborate or when you aggregate the data in a particular location, you are just simply letting an adversary enter into that particular location and destroy all your data. Okay, that is what we call a single point of failure. If you are familiar with like bus topology, right, in networking, bus topology, we say that the backbone cable breaks, the whole network is down, right? That is what we call as, or even in star topology, when the modem breaks down, the whole network is down. That is what we call as single point of failure. Similarly, in the context of machine learning, when you aggregate the data into a centralized location, that is what we call as a location or a location which is prone to single point of failure. Rather than like facilitating that, federated learning makes it difficult for any given adversary to break into the system, because every single client is retaining its own like privacy measures, its own security measures, and it's just sharing the gradients. So even though it is prone to attack, it has a lesser attack surface compared to centralized learning approaches. Okay. So these are like the sum up of different attacks and what are the typical defensive strategies we can employ for each of these attacks. We'll be going through in detail what is differential privacy, what do we mean by security aggregation, secure aggregation in the coming slides, right? Yeah. So three of the most common strategies that we employ in any kind of collaborative intelligence is robust aggregation, anomaly detection, or reputation of trust. In robust aggregation, what they simply say is, don't just blindly average whatever you are getting. You need to use your intelligence to develop some kind of mechanism. This is one standard example. So what they say here is like you are having like 5 updates. 4 updates are in the numbers, like the 2-digit numbers, and suddenly a 3rd update is coming or a 5th update is coming, which is coming in like 3-digit number. Okay, so obviously there is something anomalous about it. There is a very high chance that this particular update might be corrupted. So just negate it or just nullify it. That is what happens inside robust aggregation. Coming to anomaly detection, what anomaly detection does is it's the same context actually. When you have a particular trend and suddenly the trend is deviating, you have something or you have some kind of data which is not fitting into the regular trend that is following. That is what we call as anomaly. And when you come across an anomaly, it's recommended that you just keep the anomaly out of the media system. How do you do the anomaly detection, right? That is another question. Again, for that we have been using rule-based systems, the AI-based anomaly detectors. That is one of the most common type of anomaly detectors we are using nowadays. That is AI-based. Okay. The next category is reputation of trust. I mean, if a person has been associated with you for a long time without actually creating any kind of issues, he gains more trust, and when a data comes from a trusted source, it is usually labeled as benign. Okay, there are chances that the trusted source can get corrupted, but they are usually tagged as very rare occurrences. So usually tag it as positive response from as the trust actually increases. So we are moving on to what we have been the term which we have been using a lot, that is differential privacy. I hope you will be familiar with what we call as noise, right? Noise, whatever noise we come across in electronics for the concept of noise, okay? That is the same exact concept which we use in differential privacy as well. I mean, in differential privacy, we will be embedding noise into the data, okay? So assuming there is noise is the jargonish term. Technically or scientifically, what we are embedding into it is random numbers. Okay? Right? So assume I'm sending a number like 125. Okay? I'm supposed to send a number 125. I will be adding a bit of noise into it. I will be adding like 125 plus 0.05. Okay, that 0.05 is the noise. That is the simplistic way to define it. So by doing differential privacy, we will be sending this, and we will be letting the receiver know that I have added noise to it, and the noise value is plus or minus 5. Okay, so the receiver will be having an understanding of this, and when he gets like 125.5, he will be just reducing the 0.5 and he will be using the 125 factor. So the idea in differential privacy is when you increase the noise too much, you get really good privacy. But then what happens is the quality of the data gets reduced. When you decrease the noise very less, you get really good data quality, but what comes is very less or very reduced privacy as such. That is what we call as the privacy utility trade-off in differential privacy, okay? So we follow a particular type of noise embedding patterns that are called as Laplacian, Gaussian. These are kind of distributions as such, okay? Distributions means simply a trend of or assumed to be a kind of a sine wave, okay? A sine wave in the form of something we call as a Laplacian wave, okay? It's a Laplacian wave, so we'll be just taking numbers from that wave and we'll be adding it to our data. Just think of it in that simple context. The idea of differential privacy is just add noise to your data, that is add random numbers to your data. When you add lots of random numbers, your data privacy is very high, but your utility is very bad. When you add very less number of random numbers, the utility is really good, but of course the privacy is very bad. Okay? We have two types of DPs, that is record level DP and client level DP. Client level DP is what we usually use. I mean, when you have a particular client, you just add noise to all the data he's sending. Okay? When it comes to record level DP, you particularly select few set of data and just add noise to them. Okay? The next category is what we call as secure aggregation. You can let me know if the time is up. I mean, I can just skim through this and wind up if the time is up. Okay, I'll just go to it until I get a update. Okay. So in secure aggregation, we actually follow a couple of categories of secure aggregation. Okay, one is called as homomorphic encryption, and another one is called as standard secure aggregation. So what you say is, when you are doing secure aggregation, the server doesn't get to actually see your data as such, rather it gets to see an encrypted version of your data. Okay, I mean, it can be in the form of standard like our public encryption or private encryption, private key encryption, or it can be a resultant sum. I mean, like if you have like 3 clients A, B, C, the server might be getting A plus B plus C rather than getting A, B, C. Another possibility is server might be getting the encrypted values of A, encrypted values of B, and encrypted values of C. Those are like 2 categories of secure aggregation. Okay. That is what we say here, secure aggregation not equal to homomorphic encryption. In homomorphic encryption, we are actually using encrypted values. In secure aggregation, you are rather just masking the values as such. So the catch in HE is you never actually try to unencrypt or decrypt the data when you are doing the aggregation pattern. Okay. So the next, it's just a comparison of how exactly individual privacy preserving mechanism is. It's like how exactly privacy preserving mechanisms affect each type of attack. So if it's a membership inference attack, both differential privacy and security aggregation is useful. Same happens with gradient leakage as well. But when it comes to like poisoning attacks, that is the standard security attacks. None of the differences are useful enough. Okay, none of these differences are useful enough. That is why we usually tend to use like maybe like IDS, intrusion detection systems, or those kind of attacks. Sorry, those kind of differences as such. So coming down almost to the end of this session, the thing is like there is no actual like secure Apple kind of single push button. Okay, individual things or individual aspects need their own dedicated security mechanisms. If it's privacy protection, GP is a go-to strategy. When you are bothered about confidentiality or like robustness issue, we can go for secure aggregation. When it's more kind of like integrity issue, we need to go for like intrusion detection mechanism that identifies poisoning or backdoor. When it is trust, you go for again anomaly detection. So every single aspect or every single security pillar needs its own dedicated solutions as such. So now you might be thinking, right, all this is just theory or is it actually usable, right? It is usable in real world context. That is the kind of works we actually do in research, like the projects we are working, we typically tend to employ this in real world context. Okay. I mean, like in mobile or Android like systems, we develop like distributed encryption systems. The idea will be to seize that time. Okay. Or if like IoT or Edge, there are multiple devices. They develop like lots of data, but they have like limited computational context. So we leverage the fact like how can they learn together. When it comes to cyber physical systems, we work on like things which are like trust building mechanism or trust evaluation mechanism. Then we work on like critical infrastructure, that is roads, power grids. I mean, and we work on problems for like how can this collaborative intelligence be actually deployed in real world context. Yeah, these are like a couple of research examples what we have done recently. Yeah. So coming to the concluding bits, a couple of years back, like the standard A or the centralized AI was transitioned into federated intelligence. Edge intelligence comes with federated intelligence part. Now the context has changed. Now we are moving to actually the agentic AI context. We are actually developing security agents or trust evaluation agents where they actually tap into LLMs. They simply, to put it very simply, like people developing a set of code which actually does a basic screening, and that code will be having its backend tied to an LLM, and then the analysis, the outcomes, the final decision, everything will be generated by the LLM. Okay, that is what agentic AI-driven security will be moving on to. Maybe in a couple of in the next years, it will be more kind of like agentic AI-driven security. Then of course all these kinds of attacks and the security issues will again be moving on to that context as well. So the thing is like whenever we move like our technology into a newer platform, the attackers follows that trend. They also get adaptive and they just shift to that platform as well. So the next couple of years we'll be working on like agentic AI-driven security, or agentic AI-driven security will be the hot topic in the next couple of years. This is a question I had planned to just have it, but I think it is good. We have like overshoot a bit. So these are the 5 things to actually take home after this session. And that's it from my end. If you guys have like, any questions, I'm open to questions, please.
If you have any questions, please ask.
Any questions like regarding whatever I had presented today or any kind of like allied areas, please feel free to ask any questions.
Anyone have doubts? No. Akash, I think they have no doubts or they don't want to ask any doubt. So it's my immense pleasure to convey my gratitude to Dr. Akash K. Nair for delivering these sessions. I know there is a difference in the time zone. Despite that, he agreed for the session. Thank you so much for being our resource person and for sharing your valuable knowledge and expertise with us. As we already tell in the previous sessions, he is our alumnus, the first class student of our MSc 2017-19 batch. Your session was truly insightful and inspiring. We sincerely appreciate your time and contribution to the success of the program. Thank you, Akash.
Thank you for inviting me. I was invited for a couple of sessions before, but unfortunately I was not able to attend it. So it is my pleasure to actually deliver a session where I had actually stood as a student. So it's my real pleasure to actually give this session. In case like any of the students want to connect, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'm happy to collaborate in case like, you guys have like, any kind of like, projects going on or you guys are working on any of these topics. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. If it has something to do with your master's or undergrad projects, or even like just for a simple kind of like follow-up, if you want to connect, you may please scan the QR or just mail me. I was planning to do a hands-on session, but I had some kind of experience where we tried to like throw these kind of attacks and it doesn't end up how we want to do that. So that is why I tried to keep this session like purely theoretical. Just feel free to reach out in case you guys have any queries or you just want to have a chat about something, please feel free to reach out. Thank you again, thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I request everyone to please go for your lunch break. So, and return to the venue in the scheduled time. And the venue for your afternoon session will be the lab in Gabriel block of the indoor block. And you're required to return within half an hour after your break for the next session. And your attendance will be taken there.